The votes have been cast and the polls are officially closed. This is Election Night 2026. Tonight's coverage is being brought to you by Fay Rays, Christ Church, Jason Hardy State Farm, Glenn Mechanical, The Rushing Law Firm, Davis Farms Country Market, Cook's Body Shop, Country Village Sporting Goods, the Michael Fife for Sheriff Campaign, Harrison Financial Management, Cross Roofing, Murphy Arts District, and ProMed Ambulance. With election returns from around the state, South Arkansas Now's co-owner Grant Merrill will be at Election Central. At the Union County Courthouse, Elizabeth Haynes and J.W. Meisenheimer. And live from Fay Rays on the Square in beautiful historic El Dorado, Arkansas, Jack Sanford and South Arkansas Now's President and CEO, B.A. Sandy Sanford. This is Election Night 2026 from South Arkansas Now and SouthArkansasNow.com.
You are looking live at the rotunda of the Union County Courthouse in downtown El Dorado. Good evening, everybody. I'm Grant Merrill. Thank you for being with us here on South Arkansas Now as we bring you live election returns from Union County and from across the great state of Arkansas tonight. It is the preferential primary for both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, who are all fielding candidates tonight, many of whom you met at the South Arkansas Now Candidate Forum a few weeks ago. So let's set the scene here. We've got our team together down at Fay Rays on the Square. We have Jack Sanford and Sandy Sanford, who we will go to here in just a moment. J.W. Meisenheimer and Elizabeth Haynes are at the Union County Courthouse tonight. We will have political commentary from former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson coming up. Rex Nelson may be joining us later this evening, and also former Senator Shane Broadway as well. And of course, we will bring you all of the results as we get them, as of course the Arkansas Secretary of State has done a fantastic job in putting together an interactive results tally and a results portal that we can log on to and have instant access to all the results. That's what you saw on that. This is actually a screenshot of it here at the Union County Courthouse, where they have that up on a big screen TV. Now, also tonight, due to the proximity of Fay Rays on the Square to the Union County Courthouse, we will have some of our winning candidates, even some of our losing candidates, who will walk across the street and join Sandy and Jax, and we'll have the first reaction from them here tonight. Exclusive coverage here in El Dorado of the election returns as we have them here on Election Watch 2026. Let's go over across the street from the Union County Courthouse, where Jack Sanford and Sandy Sanford are standing by. Sandy, beautiful night to be on the front porch out there at Fay Rays on the Square, and you couldn't ask for a better evening to be. I saw those appetizers you were eating earlier. I hope they were good.
Well, they were good, Grant. Thank you very much, and welcome to Election Night 2026. Again, I'm Sandy. This is Jax, and Jax, he's right, 72 degrees out here now, and beautiful springtime evening in South Arkansas. And Grant, we are going to have some big races happening here in Union County tonight, and I agree. There you go. Some big races happening here. So, for example, the races that we'll be following locally tonight, I believe we have the Republican primary for mayor between the incumbent Paul Choate and his challenger Rico Robertson. We have a Republican primary for city attorney, and I have been told, Jax, this is the first time in in El Dorado history we've ever had an election for city attorney. That it's always been just one person who would do it. And so we have that coming tonight. It was let's see. We have Ryan Wolf, who is the challenger, and Robert Rushing. Sorry, I just got a text from Chuck Barrett. You know, that gets your attention when Chuck texts you.
Yeah, it's real easy to get distracted when Chuck Barrett's sending you a text message.
But Robert Rushing, who is the incumbent, and then, of course, again, we have the challenger, Ryan Wolf. So that's one of the races we're following tonight. Also in the city of El Dorado, we have Ward 1, and we have a race there between the incumbent Jill Wineski. And this is just the primary. The winner of this will have a Democratic opponent as well. Jill Wineski and Shane Calloway facing off in that race tonight. Of course, also in the city, Jax, probably the hottest issue or the most talked about issue. I don't know if it's even going to be close, but we'll know when the numbers come out. But that is the half-cent sales tax that is dedicated for hospital maintenance and property management.
Yeah, one thing that the city government and the people pushing for this tax have done really well is just organize together and really push for and make it apparent to the community how they believe that this is a maybe not necessary but darn close thing that they feel should pass. Just for the health and sustainability of the hospital here in El Dorado.
And, Jax, there's not really been any concentrated or concerted effort against it. There are those outliers who are like, well, I'm not voting for it because of this or that. I saw one person say, well, I'm not voting for it. That's for sure. Well, they don't even live in the city. So, of course, they're not voting for it. It is only for those voters inside the city limits of El Dorado. So those are some races we're watching. There are a few countywide races that we're going to be watching tonight, including Union County Assessor. Between Langley and Conley. That race is going to be one to watch tonight. And then, of course, Circuit Clerk, which it looks like is going to be a contested, pretty close race as well between Ward and Tanya Allen. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be one we're watching. There's also a Justice of the Peace race. I believe Randy Hendricks and Adam Robertson are running in the Republican primary. I think that race will be decided then. The two countywide races we're watching, those races will be decided tonight. There's not a Democratic challenger in those. So, again, a lot of races to keep an eye on tonight. And Grant, we, of course, you're going to be keeping up with some of the statewide races. Well, I think we have a race for land commissioner, which our current Secretary of State, Cole Jester, is running for land commissioner. And Brian Olson, I believe, is his opponent. Mm-hmm. And, of course, now there's a race for Secretary of State. And so it's just there's going to be a lot of races tonight. Now, according to what we were told, Jackson, that is Cole Jester said that this is the greatest turnout for early voting in Arkansas history.
Yeah, Cole came out with a public statement and even made a Facebook post saying that this as a state is the highest early voter turnout, and he's done a really good job of like you guys said, just creating a interactive way for the people to feel involved in the voting process. I think that the general consensus around many people for decades now has been, I'm just one vote, it doesn't matter. But Cole's office has done a really good job at the Secretary of State for Arkansas in getting the participation, and so far we've seen record-breaking numbers across the state.
So, Grant, those are just a few of the things that we're talking about here tonight from the front porch at Fay Rays. And again, thank you to our great friends here, Michael Rice and crew at Fay Rays. They did bring us out some really good appetizers, Jax.
Oh my gosh.
There was some buffalo shrimp and some kind of lemon garlic Parmesan shrimp. Those were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still trying to work on a piece in my teeth.
But savoring it for later, right?
That's right. Saving it for later, but it really was that good. And if you haven't ever tried Fay Rays, I'm telling you, you're missing out on one of the gyms downtown El Dorado.
Or if it's been a while,
even if it's been a while.
If it's been a while, so come check it. Jax and I, we were here just a few weeks ago, and we ordered one bowl of the pasta Orleans, which of course is a Cajun style pasta with just tons of seafood in it. We split it between us, that one bowl, and still both took some home with us.
That's right.
When it was done. It's just that big and that good.
And a lot of places comparable to Fay Rays will be a little skimpy with their portions, whereas that is not the case here.
No.
You're getting some of the best quality food.
Crawfish and shrimp and oysters and crab, and I don't remember what all was in it. It was great.
Yeah, so not only are you getting great quality, but you're also getting great quantity of it.
Yes.
And so, yeah, check out Fay Rays if you haven't before or haven't in a long time. Stop by, see the updated menu, and see just what's cooking over here at Fay Rays.
We're going to take a first break here in a minute.
For those of us who aren't there, are you guys pleased with yourself talking about all this crawfish and shrimp and all the seafood? It's, I'm expecting some to-go plates later.
Well, I just want you to know I'm having the time of my life. I don't know how it's going for you, Grant, at the studio, but so far I'm having the time of my life.
Yes,
well,
the
I can
pizza
believe
man
this,
was
Grant.
quite cordial. So
Well, let me say this, Grant. There will be no to-go plates because we finished it off.
Yeah, we did.
So there will be no to-go plates, and there will be no mad chef that his food came back to the kitchen. We're going to take a break here in just a minute, but before we do, Jax, I want to say a big special thanks to one of our newest sponsors, and that is our friends at Christ Church.
Yes.
And Senior Pastor David Bush. And you and I had the chance to visit them recently, and what an awesome church they've put together there. Now, these are the people who were at Dumas United Methodist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of, I don't want to tell their story. It's not mine to tell, but they are now meeting in town at what was formerly St. Mark's on Hillsborough. And such a beautiful church and a beautiful setting, and everyone was so friendly and nice. And so thank you to our friends at Christ Church for helping sponsor tonight's podcast or tonight's stream.
And I just have to mention, you said friendly, and absolutely 100%. And when you have Wilson Borowski leading worship,
Yeah.
You can't help but have a smile on your face as soon as you walk in the building.
Last thing that guy needs is a microphone.
Hey.
And now he used one, but he didn't necessarily have to have one, but it was great. So I think we'll take a break. We'll come back, and we don't know when those early voting numbers will get posted, but as soon as they're posted, we'll have those for you. And then also when we come back, Jax, I have some statistics I want to talk about of some previous races here in Union County, and let's see how they compare with what we have tonight. All right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Grant, we're going to throw it back to you.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim, and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
Country Village Sporting Goods has a little bit of everything you need to get you to the water, the woods, or to the camp. Coming soon, a new shipment of Creek boats. Every year we sell out fast. Get yours ordered today. It seems like we're always unboxing the latest and greatest in lures and tackle. Come check out new colors, new styles, and the latest technology making rods lighter and reels easier to cast. Cruise through our vast selection of camo clothing, coveralls, overalls, boots, outerwear, and more. All at Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado. Or business, trust the name that's been serving South Arkansas for 3 generations. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. From residential roofs to large commercial projects, the experienced team at Cross delivers quality you can see and reliability you can count on. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. Built on trust, proven by results. Call Cross Roofing today. Put a solid future over your head.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
Still a quiet night at the Union County Courthouse, the calm before the storm as we see the rotunda there and a few people milling back and forth. We are expecting that the early votes will be cast and collected here in just a few minutes. We don't have anything on our screen right now that shows that we have any results in, but as we get those, we will definitely bring those to you. So let's go ahead and show you some of the races that we have from the Arkansas Secretary of State. Again, let's refresh this. I figure that the refresh button may be the most popular one in the state of Arkansas tonight. Of course, we have Jill Wineski up against Shane Calloway tonight. No votes have come in on that as of yet. No precincts have reported. Robert Rushing and Ryan Wolf in the El Dorado City Attorney's race. No results as of yet there. Paul Schote being challenged by Rico Robertson. No results as of yet, and we don't have any legislative races. We had one that did go unopposed, but nothing there as of yet. In the Smackover Norphlet School Zone 4 for the school board, Derek Goodwin facing off against Cliff Preston tonight. We will get those numbers as soon as we have them. Let's see here in the Justice of the Peace race in District 8, Randy Hendricks taking on Adam Robertson, and we'll get that to you as soon as we can. For Union County Clerk, Kelly McWilliams Ward going up against Tanya Bass Allen. No precincts reporting as of yet. Also, Misty Rawls Conley and Carrie Langley, facing off against each other. In statewide races that have to do here in Union County, Supa Mays on the Democratic ticket going up against Fred Love. In the Commissioner of State Lands race, Secretary of State Cole Jester going up against Christian Olson. No reports as of yet. A three-way race in the Secretary of State's race. Kim Hammer, the senator from Benton, who we will likely talk to later this evening, up against Brian Norris. He's a former military man that lives in Batesville and decided to run for that. Kathy Hardin Harrison also in that race as well. That's a three-way race. Could go for a runoff if nobody gets 50% of the vote tonight. On the Arkansas Supreme Court, Associate Justice Position 3, Nick Bronny up against John Adams, not the former president, but John Adams, the lawyer. And they are going up in that one as of tonight. So we will definitely keep an eye on those races. And of course, we didn't have any legislative races. We up in Calhoun County and Ouachita County, they also have a few races going on. Let's go ahead and give you some of those county races. In Ouachita County, I know they've got a couple. They're not showing here as of yet, but we will definitely put those up for you here in just a moment. Let's see here. Let's pull this up. County races. Okay, here we go. For Ouachita County Clerk, Sherry Hunter going up against Gayla Holman tonight. We do have a county judges race in Ouachita County as well. Michael Tyler facing off with Amy Hughes, Larry McMahon, and Jared Purifoy trying to get into the Ouachita County Sheriff's race. No precincts reporting as of yet. Let's go ahead and scroll through and see if there are some other races that we have not gotten as of yet. Harmony Grove School Board Zone 4, Amy Pennington Wright and Hannah Odell will face off in that race tonight. Harmony Grove School Board Zone 5, Jennifer Loudon and Matthew Nutt. So both of those up for grabs this evening. No city races that have popped up as of yet. No state Senate races, no state representative races. So Ouachita County kind of quiet as well. We'll go over to Columbia County and make sure we don't miss any races there. Let me just a moment. Here in Columbia County, those county races, not pulling up anything there. Looks like Columbia County is pretty quiet. We do have some school board races in Magnolia. Amanda Morgan and Mike Waters in District Zone 3, nothing reported as of yet. District Zone 4, the same thing. Ashley Thornton and Stephen Souter facing off for the position on the Magnolia School Board. No city races to report as of yet in Columbia County, so we won't have any of those. State Senate and State Representative also kind of quiet over there. We'll just click to make sure, but I think that Senator Steve Crowell is safe in his position this evening, as it doesn't look like he's up for an election. So that's what we have in the Golden Triangle of Union, Columbia, and Ouachita counties this evening as we continue to keep an eye on those races. South Arkansas Now news time is 7:49. Let's go back over to Fay Rays on the Square and join Sandy Sanford and Jack Sanford as they are continuing to watch the courthouse and get ready to welcome some guests here in the coming moments.
That's right, Grant, and thank you again for bringing that all that great information that we had there. Jax, one of the things that I looked at when we were looking at this race, because it was said early on, oh, voter turnout is way low in the early races, and it may have been at that time. I know yesterday, Monday before the election at 11 a.m., there were 2,024 votes cast. Now, I voted Friday
and there I was number 1969. So from there until Monday morning, they'd had about 400 votes. I was told a minute ago that they finished up early voting yesterday at about 2,200. And so that's about where we think it's going to end up tonight.
Yeah, and so this might not be the highest turnout for early voting in Union County or El Dorado in general, but what does it mean for the community / the state as a whole to have just more of a voter turnout?
Yeah, record turnout across the state. So I just went back and I started looking at some previous races, Jags, which is something that I've done. I've worked a lot of political races over the years, and in 2022, so 4 years ago, we did have a countywide race for circuit clerk here in Union County. Total number of votes cast in that race in 2022 was 11,503. Only 1,203 of those were early. That surprised me. That was barely over 10% voted early in that race. You have to go back to 2018 when we had another countywide race. This was for county judge. And that was 12,373 votes cast. 5,344 of them were cast early. So like 46% of those votes were cast early. Now, we have a Republican primary for mayor tonight, and that's probably the most contested, or I say the most contested, at least one of the hottest topics in town is who's going to win the mayor's race. I know, like, for the last 3, 4, 5 days, everyone who stopped said, "All right, what do you got? Who do you think?" I'm like, I have no clue.
Yeah, I've had several people stop me and say, "Hey, newsman." Hey, newsman. You know everything. You're the first to find out who's going to win. Who's going to win the mayoral race? And it genuinely has been, or it's not the actual race, but the primary. And I still feel like it's a toss up, and we just genuinely won't have an idea until the numbers start coming back.
And so, in 2018, the Republican Party locally had a primary for mayor. You had 3 candidates running: Bill Luther, Chris Lutman, and Frank Hash. Frank Hash was the incumbent. In that race for mayor, 1,198 votes. That's very, very few votes that came out in that primary. 548 of them were early votes. So just under half were early votes. Okay. Then in 2018, when you had the general election for the mayor's race, where Veronica Creer defeated Bill Luther, 4,809 votes cast. And then in 2022, we had a mayor's race where Paul Choate defeated Veronica Creer, 4,459. So about 350 votes less. Only 821 of those came out of Ward 3. Now, here's why I mention this. Stick with me on this.
I'm sticking.
Okay. So basically just under 4,500 votes, 821 of them come out of Ward 3, which is predominantly an African-American ward. Okay. Now, I bring that up to say in 2018, in the Republican mayoral race, just in the Republican side, there were 0 votes cast in Ward 3 in the Republican primary. I bet that changes tonight.
I can almost guarantee you that changes tonight. Rico has done a really good job of trying to rally the troops and really get people to support him as the challenger to the incumbent mayor, Paul Choate. Rico has done a really good job in his community outreach. And, I don't know what that means on if he were to win mayor, how good of a mayor that he would be. But it does seem that he's not only focusing on the people who already planned on voting in this race, but also just targeting anybody and everybody who was willing to, because I think he believes so earnestly in himself and has others around him supporting him that, you know, he very well could pull some hard numbers from Ward 3.
So the thought has been, and I heard this from the Choate camp back weeks ago, maybe months ago, that he was out courting the traditional Democrat voter to get them to vote in the Republican primary. Now, does that translate into a general election win? I don't know. I have a couple of thoughts on that race, Jax, and one is, if Paul Choate retains his position as the Republican nominee for mayor, is he so bloodied by this primary that it hurts him in the general?
You know, and I think that raises a great point. There are definitely some questions that are still left to be answered.
Well, that's what happened to Blanche Lincoln, if we recall. So I don't know that she had a chance of beating John Bozeman anyway. But for one, Blanche had said she wanted to be the deciding vote on Obamacare. They allowed her that. She voted how she voted, and the people of Arkansas didn't like it. Okay. We lost a good senator in losing Blanche. And party aside, she was a good senator. But she was so bloodied by then Lieutenant Governor Bill Halter that she came out of that primary, and I mean, she had no money left, and she was made to look like everything from a horse thief by her opponent. And so Bozeman just cruised into office in November. That's what you wonder will happen here if Rico does not win the nomination and Paul Choate retains the nomination from his party. Is he so bloodied by the battle that has gone on up to this point that it hurts him in November?
You know, and I think you also have to answer the fact of, you know, can Paul rally enough votes to take on Andre Rooks, the Democratic candidate? You know, just in itself, you know, just can he do that?
Can he excite his base enough to show up?
Exactly, and that it is a genuine concern, I think, if you're the Republican Party, on if Paul winds up winning, you know, do we think that we can win that as the Republican Party? Me speaking as them, not
us. We saw that same thing happen to Veronica Creer in 2022. Again, recall, Veronica was the incumbent mayor. Paul Choate running against her. 350 votes less in her race when she ran for re-election than when she ran the first time. I talked to people who said, I voted for her the first time, I can't the second time. I've talked to one lady, I won't say her name, but she said, Sandy, you need to know I'm never going to vote for a white Republican. That's what she said to me. I'm never going to vote for a white Republican. But when it comes to the mayor's race, I'm just not going to vote. And she just withheld her vote from that race. That hurt Veronica just as much as people voting against her, because she was depending on those votes. I wonder if that wouldn't be the same thing if there aren't some people out there who are saying, hey, Paul, we sent you a message. We sent you a shot across the bow here. Pay attention. I don't know. That happened to Congressman Mike Ross. Now, he didn't lose that race when Beth Ann Rankin ran against him, but boy, she pulled an awfully big number, way more than people thought she would pull. And I think that was just a word of warning to him. You know, don't come give speeches in your district and talk about the Speaker Pelosi. People didn't want to hear it. And, you know, again, Mike, I was with him on town hall meetings. Jax, we had $4 a plus gallon gas. We had double-digit unemployment. The U.S. was involved in 2 wars. And you want to know the first question he got every one of those town hall meetings I was with him at? Why I got to watch LSU on my TV on my satellite, and I can't see an Arkansas game?
Woo pig.
Yeah, and that was something to do with the communications bill. But the point is what will happen in Ward 3 tonight in the Republican primary. I think that will set the tone for what's going to happen as far as the final results go. And of course, Jackson, the other thing we have to remember tonight, and that is the citywide vote on a 0.5-cent sales tax.
Yes.
There has been a lot of vocalization about it, both for and against. But again, those who seemed to be opposed lacked what I would say the cohesiveness to pull that together into any concentrated effort against it.
Well, and you also have to think about it in the sense of the hospital is a huge source of employment, not only for the nurses and the doctors and the maintenance workers that work at the hospital, but all doctors that get jobs at the hospital, all of the maintenance companies and everything else that the hospital provides. And so when you start talking about, hey, we might have
numbers.
We have numbers.
We have numbers. Let's send it back to Election Central to Grant Merrill. Grant, what do you got?
Well, we have some of the preliminary voting coming in, and let's go ahead and get that on our screen tonight in the Union County Circuit Clerk's race right now with 27 of 28 precincts partially reporting. Tanya Bass Allen is leading in that race, 1,048 to 381. So that's basically almost a 70-30 split. Carrie Langley leading Misty Rawls Conley right now. Carrie's got 55% of the vote, or 778, to 44%, or 620 votes. So that's actually a close race that's being separated by about 150 votes at this hour. So we will definitely keep an eye on that one. In the Alderman Ward 1 Position 2 race, Jill Nowinski is leading in that race, 172 votes to Shane Calloway's 87 votes, or 66 to 33 percentage-wise. In the El Dorado City Attorney race, Robert Rushing leading Ryan Wolf, 59% to 40%, or 459 to 315, still about 140 votes separating those two. Paul Schote is running away so far with the mayor's race in the Republican primary. Of course, he's got 606 votes, or 76%, to Rico Robertson's 23%. So those are your city races as we have them right now. In Smackover, we've got 1 of 1 precinct partially reporting. Derek Goodwin leading the way, 69% to Cliff Preston's 30% there in the school board race up there in Smackover. In the Justice of the Peace race in Union County, District 8, Adam Robertson leading the way with 72 votes over Randy Hendricks, 36 votes, 66% to 33% for Adam Robertson. Let's go ahead and scroll up here to some of our statewide races. Right now, Fred Love leading in the Democratic primary out of 679 total votes cast. Yes, we have 679 Democrats in Union County. Fred Love leading the way with 564 votes to Sufa Mays, 115 votes. In the Commissioner of State Lands race, Cole Jester leading the way with almost a 76 to 23% lead, 1,051 votes for Cole Jester. Christian Olson chiming in with 326 votes here in Union County. Kathy Hardin Harrison leading the way in the
that one surprises me.
Yes, and this is just Union County votes, so we'll go to the statewide here in just a second. But Kathy Hardin Harrison leading the way here in El Dorado and Union County with 44%. Kim Hammer, the senator from Saline County, lead in second place with 29%, and Brian Norris with 26% of the vote right now. Nick Bronny leading the way in the state Supreme Court race in Justice Position 3, 64 to 35%, 1,300 votes cast so far for Nick Brody in Union County to John Adams, 715 votes. So let's go on ahead and see if we can't get some statewide races here as we go. We're having fun learning the Secretary of State's new website.
Hey, while you do that, Grant, why don't you send it back to us? We have a guest here with us, and we'll talk to her. And while you figure that part out, okay?
Okay, give me just a second. We'll get right back to you here as we. It's 8 o'clock here in Union County, and let's go back to Fay Ray's on the Square.
Yeah, and thanks, Grant. Jax, the first thing I saw there was that surprised me was the huge lead by Mayor Schote over Rico Robertson.
Based off of my conversations that I've had with people, I wasn't seeing that. And again, these are just the preliminary numbers.
Yeah, these are early votes only.
But that's not what I was expecting to see whenever you first said that we had numbers. And I think the you have to start being prepared to answer questions if you're Paul Choate, if you really want to win this race. And so far with the preliminary numbers, it's looking your way. And so if you're Paul, I think it's time to start thinking, how am I going to answer
How do
questions?
I get these people back on my side? How do I get the people that I lost to him? How do I get them back on my side to run for November?
Exactly. And like you said, get these people not only out there, but excited to be out there to vote for him and to encourage others to vote for him.
You know, one of my favorite books, Jax, is a book called Raving Fans. And that's what it all boils down to in politics. You need to create raving fans, people who will, like a multi-marketing scheme, you know, they'll go out and they'll get two, and then they'll get two, and they'll get two. You have to create those. Jack's here with us tonight is current candidate for Union County Circuit Clerk, and that is Tanya Allen. Tanya, you have to be very pleased with those early numbers.
I am. I'm very thankful for my rabid fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very grateful.
I don't remember the
numbers.
exact number, but it was a 70-30 split.
Okay.
Maybe 73-27,
Something like that.
It
I don't
was-
remember the exact numbers now.
It was a large number. You had like almost 1,100 votes, I think, to like 300. So,
Okay. Well, I'm sure grateful for that. I'm kind of nervous to look at it, to be honest.
but I still wonder in there was 1,500 votes, but we know we were at about 2,200 early votes. So I don't know if they but this is the Republican primary. I just thought about that. There may have been some people who didn't vote in the Republican primary.
There were a lot of them that I talked to today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Didn't-
So that may be the difference there. But
Yeah, and you know, whenever you went to vote, you had to you either selected Democrat, Republican, or
independent
Right.
or nonpartisan.
or
Yeah.
nonpartisan.
Yeah. I'm just going back to look here. And I don't remember the numbers in the mayoral race, but also early indication was Robert Rushing with a pretty substantial lead over newcomer Ryan Wolf.
Yeah, on the mayoral race, it was about 76-24, if I remember correctly, in favor of Paul at the moment.
Yeah. As I'm speaking of mayors, Madam Mayor, she retains the title, even though she's not still in the position. It's kind of like presidents, you know, once they leave office, they're still President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, right?
That's right.
And and President Biden. And so she still retains the title as Madam Mayor, and she's going to be joining us, Veronica Creer-Smith, or Creer. Sorry, it's already been a long day.
It has been a long day.
It has indeed been a long day, but I'm really excited to see the numbers keep on coming. I'm excited to see how Union County is feeling as a whole in general, and you know, it's great that people are getting out and making their voices heard through their votes.
That's absolutely right, and that's, you know, to me, that's the biggest thing here is you have this right that not everyone else has. And there are people in this country that don't have that right.
That's right.
Okay. If you're under the age of 18, you don't have that right. If you have been convicted of a felony, you don't have that right. So it's important to exercise that right. Now, I'm one of those weirdos that as a kid, I was way into politics. I was 8 years old. My dad used to call me filibuster. He did. We were living in Houston, and when we got cable, I think I was about 11, and he comes home one day and he said, you know, if I walked in and found you watching HBO or Cinemax or the movie channel or Showtime, that wouldn't surprise me. But to walk in and see you watching C-SPAN is like, that really surprises me. But I wanted to start working campaigns when I was real young, and my dad wouldn't let me. He said, you have to be old enough to vote first. Well, he actually made me wait first campaign as a volunteer.
You know what I thought was cool? I saw a lot of parents taking their kids with them to vote this morning, and I thought that is so neat that they're doing that.
So my middle son, Camden, my wife and I, we got the pleasure of going with him on his first time ever to vote. And that was a lot of fun. That was cool for, you know, just experience that with them, because it's that one moment where even if you feel like I know better, but for that moment, I feel like somebody's listening to me.
That's
I
right.
have a voice.
And if you don't vote, then
if you don't vote,
don't
you
say
don't.
a word.
Well, you can complain,
Well,
but
you
nobody's
can, but
listening.
that's true.
You know, again,
This is how you're heard.
we
right
talked
here.
about it earlier, and I did not see any numbers on the tax.
On the Access for Life
Yeah.
half-cent sales tax. Yeah, I didn't see any numbers on that yet.
But what I was going to say about that is there's been a lot of people who had a whole lot to say about it, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, I know you live in Smackover. You have no say so in this tax. Or so-and-so, I know you live in Spearsville. What are you doing? You know, this was only a city tax.
Right.
So for the people who do live in the city and did not go vote for it or vote one way or the other, I'm not saying vote for it, but who did not vote in that particular race, shame on you.
I agree.
Because there are people out in the county who would give anything to be able to have
I
that
can't
right.
tell you how many times I heard that today. People would drive by and they'd say, I voted for you, but I wish I could have voted for the tax too.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
So.
but you know, look, historically, countywide, taxes have a problem passing in the county. You know,
And I think that's why there's been such a strong concentration from the camp that has been pushing it so hard, is they understand how hard it is to pass a new tax in El Dorado. And so they've had to really have a combined effort and work together to make sure that the word's getting out about how important they believe this tax is.
yeah. So Grant, I don't know if you have any of those numbers yet on the Access for Life in
We
the
do not
early
as of
voting
yet.
numbers.
Yeah, we
Okay,
do not as of
okay.
yet. That's actually not even on the list, so we may need to get JW and Elizabeth to go over and
And Elizabeth,
check that out in person. But I know that we've got some other guests coming up here in just a moment and have some new statewide numbers coming in, and got a lot going here. So it's a busy night.
It is a busy night. And Tanya, don't feel like this has to be the only time you visit with us. You can come back later tonight. We're
I
going to
know.
be here.
I'm coming to Main Street when the pizza's out next time. Just let me know when.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank y'all
bless,
so
bless
much.
your heart. We brought you in there and didn't give you a piece of pizza, did we?
Threw a glass of tea at me and sent me out.
Hey,
And I
but-
brought you Girl Scout cookies too.
You did. And you know what? I got home and everybody was like, where'd you get those? And I said, Tanya Allen brought those.
Hold on. You got Girl Scout
Oh.
cookies?
They're at the house.
Oh, I guess it would help if I go over there, huh?
Bingo. So they've been at the house, and one of the kids said the other day, Daddy, can I have one of those Girl Scout cookies? Absolutely. And I'm thinking to myself, they have coconut in them. She's not going to like it.
Oh,
But I noticed it didn't slow her down.
Samoas are so good. They're my favorite.
Caramel Delights, I think is what they're called now, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Just like, I don't think they call tagalongs anymore.
Oh,
They've changed all the names of
Well,
Well, as long
there's
as they
also
knew what I was-
there's also two different Girl Scout cookie brands that call them different things, and so that might be where some of the confusion comes in, because they're almost identical, but they call them different things. And so Dosey
Do-si-dos, yeah.
and tagalongs are the same, or no? I don't know. I don't know.
I can't
I'm not a
remember.
Girl Scout cookie expert. Please,
I'm a Samoa girl.
save your emails.
Yeah. Keep them cards and letters coming, folks. Care of Jax. So we get enough messages and notes about him as it is.
No, I want to keep all the mail about me, about how good looking I am.
Oh, you got the girls after you. You go.
Tanya, thank you for coming by
Thank y'all so
and visiting with
much.
us. Grant, we're going to send it
Appreciate
back to you. If you want to take a commercial break, that's fine. Coming up in a few moments here at election coverage in downtown El Dorado, we will have Madam Mayor Veronica Smith-Creer will be joining us in just a few minutes.
Okay, hang with us. We'll have some statewide results and hear some political commentary on several races going on across the great state of Arkansas here in just a moment. This is Election Watch 2026 on South Arkansas Now.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Experience, courage, common sense. All of these are traits we want in any elected position, but especially in the man we will pick as our next sheriff. Michael Fife hasn't just been in law enforcement for 30 plus years. He's the one who answers the call in the middle of the night, putting himself last and Union County first, looking folks in the eye, doing what's right, standing up for all of us. Vote for Michael Fife for Union County Sheriff.
Anyone can be so curious.
Get ready to see the world more curiously, because Blippi is coming to your hometown. The Be Like Blippi Tour. Join Blippi and Mika live on stage for a one-of-a-kind interactive adventure that inspires kids to move like, play like, and explore just like Blippi. Saturday, April 11th, the First Financial Music Hall in El Dorado. Tickets are on sale now at eldomad.com. Break out your orange Blippi glasses for an unforgettable experience that encourages kids to be like Blippi.
So you guys are just like State Farm, right? Why barely?
You get what you pay for.
Our bike coverage leaves out a lot.
I don't have a bike.
Can we just get some momentum on the song?
Oh, I'm going. There's damage to your home on this block.
We won't make things right, cause filing a claim is tough.
Can't I just do it in an app or call an agent?
No luck.
Here comes the best part. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, you're living on a prayer.
Oh, my bungee.
Should have gone with State Farm.
When it comes to your family's financial future, peace of mind matters. At Harrison Financial Management, they are right here to help you plan, grow, and protect what matters most. Whether you're planning for retirement, investing wisely, or securing your family's future, they will guide you every step of the way. Harrison Financial Management, your future, their commitment.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
Thank you for being with us here on South Arkansas Now. Good evening, everybody. Grant Merrill here in the SouthArkansasNow.com newsroom, and we are, of course, watching races from across the state this evening. We'll welcome former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson here in just a few minutes. Let's go over some statewide numbers. In the Democratic primary for governor, Fred Love leading Supa Mays right now, 83 to 16%. So Fred Love with 564 votes statewide, 115 votes for Supa Mays. Statewide returns for Cole Jester, the Secretary of State who's running for Commissioner of State Lands. He's got 76% of the vote, or 1,051 of the tally. Very few precincts reporting right now. Christian Olson, his opponent, with 23% of the vote. Kathy Hardin Harrison leading the way. She's the leading vote getter in the Secretary of State's primary over Senator Kim Hammer of Benton, who has 29% of the vote. Brian Norris with 26. Kathy Hardin Harrison again leading the way with 44.3% of the vote. The State Supreme Court Associate Justice Position 3, Nick Bronny, leading the way over John Adams in that race. 64% of the vote for Nick Bronny. John Adams with 35% of the vote as that it looks right now. So we will definitely keep you up to date on everything's happening. Let's welcome in former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson, who is joining us here this evening as he's keeping an eye on many of these races. And Jeremy, any surprises so far with 2% of the vote reporting?
Well, first of all, Grant, it's good to be with you. And this is a tough night for a lot of people and an incredible night for a few. But you got to commend all the candidates who are willing to put their name on a ballot and go expose themselves. And but in a primary, unlike a general election, if you lose in the primary, it's not because of philosophical differences or the electorate was leaning one way or the other. It's very personal, and to lose in the primary is you feel a lot of rejection. So I'm going to feel for a lot of candidates tonight, and then there's obviously those victors who are going to have an incredible evening. But there have been several surprises. You mentioned the statewide races. I've been looking at a lot of the legislative races, and the theme that I'm seeing so far, now you're right, it's still very early, but it looks like the candidates that Governor Sanders has supported are not faring that well, at least at the moment. If you look at Ron Caldwell, who's over in East Arkansas, Governor Sanders supported his opponent, Bo Dirt Bohannon. And as of now, and it's early, but Senator Caldwell is at 84% of the vote. And then a race that you're probably familiar with over in part of the state, at least part of your listening audience, Brian King and Bobby Ballinger.
Right.
And Governor Sanders was heavily invested in Bobby Ballinger's race, and currently with early votes, Senator King is up 55% to 44%.
Let me tell you, those
So,
boys are never going to be on each other's Christmas card list.
no, they are not.
Well, that's
Now, let me saying that those returns are almost exclusively from Newton and Johnson County. I think Ballinger will run better in Carroll and Madison County. Now there's still a little bit of Franklin County. That district has a little bit of Franklin, where I think Senator King will do very well. So that race is still very much a toss-up. But
here's an early return
as
that
of right now, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's an early return that you and I have probably been watching in Saline County. Sheriff Rodney Wright, candidate for the state Senate, leading so far with 5 of the precincts reporting with a 70-30 split over Randy Sams. And of course, Rodney, I believe, was one of the candidates that Governor Huckabee Sanders was supporting. And I believe that he may be the lone one so far that has started. Of course, his family goes way back in Saline County.
Yes.
He's actually the nephew of Dan Harmon, who made some news with the in the 1990s, and so Rodney has, despite that, been able to maintain a pretty good political career.
I suspect Rodney wishes he didn't have such a good memory.
Right. Well, and another one.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I'm sure Rodney. He's a sheriff, and I'm sure Rodney Wright's grateful for the governor's help. But he probably would have won that race pretty handily without anybody else's help. He's been in politics in Saline County for a long time. That is still a very large margin.
Yeah, State Senate District 13, we've got State Representative Brandon Acor over Misha Martin, who's, of course, a longtime DHS, I guess you might call her an administrator and an executive there. And I believe that, that was another race where, the governor had one candidate and the people apparently have another.
Yeah, that race, I think it's still too close to call, but yeah, it certainly the early votes. I will tell you, I saw Representative Acor, I don't know, last Friday, and I was at a coffee shop in North Little Rock, and he came in with T-shirts on and his wife, and they were getting ready to head out, going door to door after they got their coffee. So I know he was working until the very last few days, and it looks like early returns, that hard work's paid off.
Well, Jeremy, I know that when you take a look at these Senate races, they're really important right now just because of some hot button issues. One of those being the prison that people want, that the governor wants built in Franklin County. The people don't seem to want it over there. But, if they're to relocate to another part of the state, such as, Union County in South Arkansas, where we're focusing on some, and or the Arkansas River Valley, there's a lot of legislators who are pro-prison, but maybe not necessarily in the place that it's at. So, but it does look like it's going to get built somewhere.
Well, perhaps at some point. I think it will take probably another legislative session if they decide to move locations. But I think my understanding, and I don't want to sound definitive, but talking to legislators, unless the governor was successful in some of these elections, the prison, at least in Franklin County, looks to be dead.
Right.
And it's not looking, early returns, it's not looking like she's going to win the votes to succeed there. So, yeah, you're right. They'll have to develop a new strategy, a new location, and start over. So it still could be a few years, but you're right, there's definitely support for a prison. It's just not the location, apparently.
Well, Jeremy, we're going to get some local returns, and we will check in with you later in the hour if that's okay, and get some more of your commentary on statewide races, because this is a fascinating night in Arkansas politics for sure, and we appreciate your help.
Thank you, Grant.
All right. Longtime State Senator Jeremy Hutchinson joining us from his home in Little Rock tonight. It is 8:24 here on South Arkansas Now. We appreciate you being with us. Appreciate our great sponsors who have made everything possible this evening. Of course, you're looking live at the Union County Courthouse in the Rotunda. And right across the street at Fay Ray's on the Square, we've got Sandy Sanford and Jack Sanford with another special guest here tonight, Veronica Smith-Creer, who is joining us here from Fay Ray's.
Thanks a lot, Grant. And hey, by the way, thanks to Jeremy for coming on the stream tonight. And I know this race doesn't mean anything to us locally, but I would like to keep up with that Lonoke County Sheriff's race. You know, that's the gentleman who was arrested for shooting the guy who had kidnapped his daughter and running for sheriff. And I think all the conventional wisdom says he doesn't have a prayer, but he's out there getting his message out. And so it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Welcome to the stream with us tonight, and that is Madam Mayor Veronica Smith Creer, and or as I like to call her, Olivia Pope.
Yeah.
I'm still wearing the white hat.
That's right. You're a gladiator, right?
I am.
So,
I am. I'm a fixer.
That's right. Well, Veronica, thank you for coming on with us tonight. Now,
thank you.
Obviously, 4 years ago tonight, you were in a race, and that didn't come out nearly like you hoped it would.
Well, not tonight. It would be in November.
Oh, that's right. It was November.
I wasn't in a primary.
That's right. You didn't have a primary. That's right.
Yes.
I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I'm sitting here just...
It would have been easier to get it over in the primary, probably.
That's right. That's right. But how have you been spending the last 3.5, nearly 4 years since you're not mayor?
Being very busy. Right now, I'm working for the Arkansas Black Mayors Association. I am their executive administrator, so I did not give up being mayor altogether. I'm still working with mayors. Unfortunately, I've had quite a few other battles since I've not been in the mayor's office, but I like to maintain that I don't look like what I've been through. As a matter of fact, I look better.
Hey, I know that's right.
Agreed.
So I'm grateful for that. You mentioned 4 years ago on this night, which was in November, things didn't go the way I planned, but it's hard to say. Losing isn't always losing.
That's right.
Sometimes there's a win in the loss. And so you always have to be very optimistic. One of the things I do maintain, sometimes people don't know or don't miss what they had until it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my very last day in the mayor's office, I walked out to Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone playing. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people since that time have wanted the sun to shine again. But here I am. But very grateful. I'm grateful for the experience
of course,
for having been mayor.
Well,
there was a lot.
And it's a lot like a sermon I heard from an evangelist that may or may not be sitting at the table with us when I was younger. But the message was, I'm at where I'm at because I'm going where I'm going. And so just because it's not where you wanted to see yourself 4 years ago doesn't mean that it's not where you're supposed to be.
That's it.
That's right.
It.
Recently I said a prayer and I said, Lord, I don't know what's going to come of this, but you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
None of you didn't wake up today and get caught by surprise. Okay. So you know where this is headed. You know where this thing is going. You know the final outcome. I trust you. That's all I can do. I trust you. That's it. That's
enough.
it. And that gives me all the peace I need that I know I trust him.
That's it. I will say this, being on this side of the table is a lot different. And thank you for allowing me to come and just kind of chat with you all tonight. I heard my name pop in a couple of times. So I thought maybe I should go down and just hang out with them for a minute. And so I think it's really important that people understand that even getting into a race takes a lot of courage.
Oh, yeah.
Or a little bit of craziness.
Well, you were a
Maybe
newcomer.
I was.
I mean, you had
politics.
To politics,
Yes.
obviously. You had not run for office previously, for public office, had you?
I had run for city council. And, you and I were just kind of chatting between and talking about, it hurts a little bit not to win. But yes, I actually ran for city council 10 years before I ran for mayor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a glutton for punishment.
And you're running again.
I am running for council again. I am for the exact same seat
in Ward 2
that I ran for before, Ward 2, Position 1.
Now, the demographics of that ward have changed than they were 14 years ago.
They have. And if you remember when I was in office, there was a changing of the repositioning of the wards.
Mm-hmm.
And so some things have changed even since then. So, and then even when you look at the demographics, you kind of hit on a few minutes ago when you were talking about my race and how it was hard having been in office to maintain. A lot of things happen. Well, you now have a record, and whether what they say, bad? I don't know.
whether what they say about you is true or not.
Yes.
You do have a record
as
the incumbent, and that's why it's so hard, especially that first time for incumbents to get reelected, is because you now have a record. You can run on ideas when you're not an incumbent, but when you are the incumbent, you now have a record. There are things you have said, and I don't know about you, probably never you, but me. I say stupid stuff a lot.
Oh, I never do.
And no, I'm sure you don't. And so And so what happens is you can take any little sound bite and just beat it to death.
That's it. Like not paying the bills.
We're going to save that for the debate in November.
Okay.
Or in October, actually.
That'll be good.
We do know for sure we are going to host at least one debate in October.
Okay.
Possibly two, because we do have confirmation from U.S. Senator Tom Cotton that he will participate in a U.S. Senate debate in Union County, Arkansas. As far back as I have been able to find, there has never been a U.S. Senate debate held in Union County.
Well, congratulations.
And well, thank you. We've worked very hard to get where we are,
and we're still not there.
And we're not there. That's right. We haven't finished phase one yet, but we also have a commitment from Hallie Schaffner, who appears to be the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party, that her campaign will be there. And she was really heartbroken. They had committed to come to our last debate.
Right.
And then at the last second, just something else pulled her away. And I think that was just some staff not communicating with one another.
And campaigning is hard.
Campaigning is hard. Listen, hard. And not only is it hard on you, but you have to get 200, 300, 400 people out there doing it for you. And then you feel like you owe them.
You do.
You do owe them after that. And so
at least pizza.
Maybe that, or just doing what you said you was going to do. That's how I was thinking. But
yes. I got a lot of that. I voted for you. And that does mean a lot, but at the same time, you can only do what you can do. And that's courage, the gumption, and just a little bit of craziness that will allow them to get out there, because you really are putting yourself out there in every aspect.
I worked for George W. Bush twice. Yeah, I worked for George W. Bush twice. And one of the things he told me one time, he said, and you know how country he is, country's cornbread. He's like, my mama told me. I was like, what's that, Governor? Because he was governor then. And what's that, Governor? He said, my mama said, if you find a good man, comes from a good family, who's willing and crazy enough to put his name on the ballot, you get behind him, you fight for him. And so I had a candidate the governor had dispatched me to go work for. Okay. And my candidate's last name was Christian. And it was an open seat. So the governor would not make an endorsement in this open seat, because he said, I got to work with whoever gets there.
That's right.
Well, our whole thing was, all our polling show, we were 3 to 4 points behind all the time. And our opponent had outraised us like 5-1. She said, matter of fact, her financial report at the end of the campaign was about this thick. My candidate's was about this thick, but she raised 5-1 on money. She had all these medical packs. She was a hospital administrator. So I'm telling the governor, we've got to have you in the district. We need money. And if you will just show up, I'm not asking you to endorse him. If you'll just show up at somewhere where he's at, put your arm around him, pat him on the back or something, So finally, we were having this event with the Chamber of Commerce, and my guy was the keynote speaker. He's getting ready to go up to speak, and the president of the chamber steps up. Oh, Mr. Krishna, I'm so sorry. He said, but we've had a special guest who's asked if they could just have a few minutes. Well, of course, my candidate knew, but he's like, sure, whatever. This guy nods at the back door of the gymnasiatorium there at this high school where we were, and they open up and the band kicks off with The Eyes of Texas Are Upon You. Here come George W. Bush, cowboy hat, rolled up sleeve. He's like, hey, how you doing? Looked like a Pentecostal camp meeting. They were throwing babies at the ceiling. I mean, he's walking through. It took him 15 minutes to get to the platform. So he gets up there on stage. Of course, my guy's sitting right there, and he tells that same little anecdote about his mama saying that about, you get behind them, you fight for them, you work for them. So I want to stop off here tonight and tell y'all I'm a Christian man. And I leaned over to our campaign finance chairman and I said, your week is fixing to get busy. Cha-ching. We got money the next day from California and Washington State and Oregon and Idaho and Montana. We got money from all over the nation. That story was no such thing as viral, but it went in press all over America. And we were raising money after the election from that. But we ended up winning by 4 points, but all we needed was money.
Yeah.
And people really don't understand how expensive campaigns can get, because, all they think about is, all they're doing is running ads, but you're also
yard signs.
You're thousands and thousands of signs, door hangers
Yes.
or handout cards,
Traveling.
T-shirts,
Food.
travel, the actual money that you're spending on those advertisements.
Radio, online, billboards, back then
You name it.
newspaper, Facebook, social media. I mean, you can go bankrupt
Really.
running for office, and that's
Really could.
some of that's what surprised me. So, for example, in this city attorney's race, it seems like Mr. Wolf has spent a lot of money for a job that pays $22,000 a year.
Well, a lot of people have raised more money than what the job actually pays them.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. And you really have to want to be on that ticket. You really have to want to continue to put yourself out there. So, for example, in this city attorney's race, that race is nowhere near over. I mean, you're going to have a race come November.
Yes.
And
just like the mayor's race.
there's going to be
exactly.
a mayor's race in November. There's going to be
Ward 1. That'll be another
Ward
race.
1, Ward 2, and Ward. Well, does Nathan have an opponent in Ward 3?
Nathan is actually in Ward 2. Nathan Rainey. He's
Okay.
actually in Ward 2.
Okay.
And
Is he running as an
Lance Greer,
independent?
he is.
Okay.
So I have two opponents. Well, we all have two opponents.
Yeah. I was thinking back. I actually came across an interview that Troy Boomer and I did with you years ago.
In the middle of COVID, was that it?
Yes, it was in the middle of COVID.
Yes.
And
I had
one
on a
of-
blue dress.
wow, see, I don't remember that. So, I didn't have hair. But one of the things I remember you saying, because I said something about your race against Bill Luther, and you said, I want to stop you there. I did not run against Bill Luther.
No.
You said, we both were running for the same position, but I didn't run against Bill Luther. And I think that that said a lot to me, that of how you viewed the office. It wasn't that I won it. I've been granted the permission of the people to hold this office.
Bill Luther and our race was commendable.
It was probably one of the most civil races I have ever seen.
I
You're
think
right.
He and I both maintained that no matter which one of us made it, we would work together, and we did. I think before it was over, he was glad he didn't win.
Yeah. That's what they said right after 9/11. They said George Bush called Al Gore and said, hey, we found them votes in Florida. Job's yours. Madam Mayor, I want to bring up a couple of things here. So one of the things that we mentioned earlier was there in the year that you won the mayoral race, there was a Republican primary. So Chris Luttman, Frank Hash, and Bill Luther all ran against each other. And then there was a runoff on top of that. But that Republican primary, 1,198 votes cast. That's sad to me.
Yeah.
But then 548 were early. But then in your race, in the general election where you defeat Bill Luther, 4,809, 2765 had voted early. But in your race where Mayor Choate defeated you was 350 votes less, 4459, and only 821 of those come out of Ward 3. And the reason I had brought up Ward 3 earlier tonight was I was interested to see what happens when those Ward 3 numbers come in, because Rico Robertson's been really pushing the non-traditional Republican voter as an African-American voters, trying to get them to vote in this primary so that they could have a voice in who runs in the general. And by all indications, he was going to be successful, although those early numbers don't show that.
Right.
So I think there's still a lot to be seen there, but I don't know. That's the only race that really has caught me by surprise tonight.
Right. I think that was another, and I hate to say strategy, but we always talk about the lesser of two evils. And I mean, that's something that, it gets said a lot, but I think the strategy behind that was who would be the easier one for Andre to beat in the end. And I don't even know what that looks like. So it's
I don't either.
It's not predictable. I will say this, and I've shared this with many people, especially after the election. I was not surprised by the outcome. I was not surprised. I did understand other strategies that happened in my case. And that's one of the reasons why people need to be aware that, win, lose, or draw, you live beyond that. I'd been mayor for 4 years, and it was funny to me that people kept asking, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you don't win? I'm going to continue to live.
You already had a business you were running.
I did, and a lot of other little things that I was doing.
You were on the board of trustees at South Art.
I was.
I mean, you had plenty of other things.
And still a lot of things to do, but some people get caught up in the position And so that's one of the things that we really have to look at when people are looking at strategies. It's going to be, you're going to have to do something beyond that. You're not going to be in the position forever unless you're Willie McGee and you're going to be council member forever. And I don't think anybody's going to ever be Willie. It's going to be when he decides that he does not want to run again.
Someone said the other day on our podcast, they said, and Willie can go on for quite a while. I was like, oh, really? We've all been. Let's just say we've all been in those city council meetings. There was a contingent. Jax knows about it, that came to me back in the summer and tried to convince me to run for mayor, and I told them absolutely not, and they said, why? I said, because I'd win, and I don't want that job. Because I saw what happened. I saw what happened to you. Mm-hmm. I saw what's happened to Paul. Now, listen, there are people out there right now. If you listen to him right now, Paul Schott is evil incarnate, right? Yeah. He's doing everything is under the table and backroom deals. You didn't know how to balance a checkbook. These are things being said about good people who put their name on the ballot. I have worked too hard for my reputation.
For you to have to go through that.
For my kids to have to hear that. It's never bothered me. I caught a lot of hell over the years in business, and that's okay. Someone thought it'd be funny one time to post to this message board back in the day that I had passed away in an auto accident between Arkadelphia and El Dorado, because I had radio stations in Arkadelphia and I'd been to them that day. The problem with that is one of my kids saw it before I saw it. And then you remember Topics? Mm-hmm. The website Topics, yeah. There were some awfully nasty things said about me on Topics. And one night, it was late, it's 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and my daughter, who's finishing up her last few weeks of law school, thank God.
Her. She is so amazing.
She's over there sniffling, and I'm like, what's going on? She said, Daddy, have you read what they say about you? I said, baby, get off Topics. Yeah, I know that's where you are. So what I did is at my house, I blocked it. I went into our router and blocked it. You couldn't get the Topics from my house anymore.
And people don't think about that. They don't think about your children. They don't think about, and I'm just being very transparent here. When I was arrested in October 2024, my aunt, who's in her 90s, saw that on television. Oh. And so people don't think about your family having to see different things. My daughter, when people would put things on Facebook, she would be livid. And when I would be saying, calm down, it's not that bad, my baby, talk. She
no, listen, I know
she would come for him, and unfortunately, that's a part of it. That's a part of it.
My oldest, for example, when she was a senior in high school, I get a call from the principal who says, hey, we're going to need to talk about something. I was like, okay. He said, evidently, someone in your daughter's class had something negative to say about you. And he said, and we understand that she wanted to defend you, but I think her exact words were, oh, I'll stab a bitch over Sandy Sanford. And he said, we need to, he said, we need to try.
She's got the bar coming up soon. You can't be saying things like that.
You didn't use her name, did you?
Didn't. So.
But I know that we are getting close to needing to take a break.
Yes.
And
Sandy was doing all the talking, not me. It wasn't me this time.
That's nothing new.
If you ever have to convince one person that it was Sandy talking, I promise it's not me. I promise you didn't have to convince me.
Well, I want to thank y'all for letting me come on and
thank you.
I do appreciate it so very much. Thank you for everything you're doing. And Sandy, I want to tell you, you have really good genes because you got beautiful kids.
Well, I haven't. Listen, if you told me he's smart, I'd have said thank you. But I'm not sure I have a whole lot to do with any of my kids and how beautiful they are.
Well, you have some amazing children. So thank y'all so very much for allowing me to disrupt the party. For
Hang tight one second. Grant, we're going to throw it back to you. If you want to take a commercial break, that's fine. We do have current Arkansas legislator Matthew Shepard is going to be joining us on our next break. So we have that coming up as well.
We will be back with more Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Rated the #1 course in Arkansas by Golf Week, Mystic Creek is truly a hidden gem, complemented by a modern clubhouse, complete with panoramic views. It also features a fully stocked pro shop and Mystic Grill, serving contemporary American cuisine and Southern classics. Mystic Creek promises an unforgettable experience.
With a name you trust, you can count on us. Glen Mechanical.
over 6 decades, Glenn Mechanical has been specializing in HVAC, plumbing, and all mechanical jobs. 3 generations family owned and operated since 1956. Glenn Mechanical's business is based on relationships. They support and give back to the communities they work in. Contact them for all of your HVAC, plumbing, and mechanical needs. GlennMechanical.com.
The brand new deli is open at Davis Farms Country Market, featuring Boar's Head cheese and meats. Try the Turkey Bacon Ranch, the London Broil Roast Beef, the Club Sandwich, or a fresh and crispy BLT. Check out their Cranberry Pecan Chicken Salad, not to mention fresh hot gumbo, the soup of the day, and more. Davis Farms Country Market, 4523 Junction City Highway. Our Country Village Sporting Goods has a little bit of everything you need to get you to the water, the woods, or to the camp. Coming soon, a new shipment of Creek boats. Every year we sell out fast. Get yours ordered today. It seems like we're always unboxing the latest and greatest in lures and tackle. Come check out new colors, new styles, and the latest technology making rods lighter and reels easier to cast. Cruise through our vast selection of camo clothing, coveralls, overalls, boots, outerwear, and more. All at Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado. Serving South Arkansas for 25 years, and all the while expanding and growing throughout the state, ProMed Ambulance is proving their motto of world-class care and hometown values. For example, their new mobile integrated healthcare communication center. This state-of-the-art facility allows communication specialists to work directly with local 911 call centers to ensure the closest medical team is always dispatched to any emergency. World-class care and hometown values. For more information and career opportunities, go to ProMedAmbulance.com.
Non-stop phone calls, registered mail, repossessions, or threats of lawsuits from creditors, and it seems like no one is willing to let you hit pause and just catch your breath. You need the help of Robert Rushing and the Rushing Law Firm. Bankruptcy is not the end. It could be a chance for a fresh start. The Rushing Law Firm goes to work for you, letting you hit that pause button and start over. Call the Rushing Law Firm today at 870-875-2940 or stop by the office at 725 Northwest Avenue in El Dorado. The Rushing Law Firm.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
Election night in South Arkansas. Good evening, everybody. It's 8:47, and we're getting more results in as we move through the evening here on South Arkansas Now. Thank you for being with us. Let's go over the results that we do have in the local races. Give me just a moment to get that put up on the screen here. We have in the Union County Circuit Clerk's race, 1,776 votes cast so far. Tanya Allen leading with a 70-30 majority right now, 1,260 votes cast for Tanya. Kelly McWilliams Ward with 516. In the Union County Tax Assessor's race, Terry Langley with 974 votes to Misty Rawls Conley's 43% or 760 votes. Going to the city races, now it is our understanding that we will start to get the numbers on the hospital vote coming up here in just a few minutes as more of these numbers come in. So we know that there's some people who are watching just for that single issue, and we will get you those numbers, even break in if we have to our interviews to make sure that you get the first numbers on that. In Ward 1, Position 2 for the El Dorado City Council, Jill Wineski is leading the way with 175 votes to Shane Calloway's 87. Robert Rushing leading the El Dorado City Attorney's race right now, 59% to 40% or 464 to 317. Paul Schoch will likely be the Republican nominee for mayor of El Dorado if the current trend continues. He leads with 76% of the vote or 611 to Rico Robertson's 24% or 193 votes. In the school board race in Smackover right now, Derek Goodwin looks to be the winner of that race if the current trend continues. 69% of the votes to Cliff Preston's 30% of the votes. So now let's take a look at some statewide races as we continue to monitor the different races that are coming through. And we're absolutely not going to go over every school board race, as you see on the screen there. Fred Love is likely going to be the Democratic nominee for governor tonight. He leads the way with 83% of the vote in the statewide tally over Sufa Mays, who has 16% of the vote right now. In the Commissioner of State Lands race, Cole Jester leading the way with a 70-30 split there. Kim Hammer leading the way barely in the Secretary of State's race with 34% of the vote right now. Brian Norris with 33. Kathy Hardin Harrison, who had led the race early, she has 31% of the vote right now. In the state Supreme Court, Associate Justice Position 3 race, John Adams has come back into the lead with 43,885 votes to Nick Bronny's 38,568. So Adams leads 53 to 46, basically. I know that Sandy was wanting to see that county sheriff's race over in Lonoke County, but it does not appear that the Lonoke County clerk's office has reported any of those races so far in the statewide election. So it's still early. Right now, you can see at the top of the screen that only 2.24% of the precincts statewide have reported right now, 610 out of 2,896, and only 65 precincts have fully reported. So we still have a lot of voting to go. And of course, we may be here pretty late this evening as we continue to watch these races. I know that former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson will join us here in a little bit as we'll talk about some of those statewide races. And I know Matthew Shepard's waiting over at Fay Rays as we've got several of these big Senate races that are going to be affecting the future of our state, the immediate future so far. So let's go back over to Fay Rays on the Square. Enjoyed Sandy and Jack Sanford and the Honorable former Speaker of the House, Matthew Shepard, tonight.
Hey, thanks a lot, Grant. And, you touched on something there, and that is there could be a real changing of the guard when it comes to the state legislature. And, in some of those races, whether they're open seats or there's someone in challenging the incumbents, I don't think we have a concern about party changing, Matthew. But you do have, and Jeremy Hutchison brought it up earlier when he was on the program with us, and he said, some of these candidates were kind of handpicked by the governor, and some of them aren't faring so well. Now, Cole Jester's doing great. He's doing great in his race.
Well, and having gone to OBU with Cole, knowing him on a personal level, I have to say it's not surprising. I mean, he's a guy who majored in biblical studies and then decided that it was time for somebody who was a devout Christian to step into office, and so that's what he's done. And so, just knowing that about him, it's not surprising to see what he's been able to do so far.
Matthew, you have the easiest night of everyone in the state as far as the legislature goes. You're not running for re-election. You don't have to worry about who's coming in from what district. How's that been?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a change because for the better part of the last 15 years, and particularly the last seven or 8 years as Speaker of the House, on primary night, you're monitoring what's going on across the state to see if your incumbents have won, if who's coming in, who's going to be your potential candidates for the general election. And still, I was talking with one of my friends in the legislature that's also term limited. It's just a different feeling to not necessarily be on the ballot, to not have to be so engaged in that part. Although I still have a number of friends, a number of colleagues that are in races across the state, and so you're texting trying to figure out what's happened and where these races stand. So it's always exciting. Election night is always exciting. I think back to as a kid, on occasion my dad would bring me down to the courthouse, which is that's always kind of a big deal. You go back through the years, going to the courthouse, seeing the votes being counted, and then thinking about some of your mentors, Bill and Edwin would be on the radio, and so but election night special, and I want to commend and thank all those that were willing to step up and put their name on the ballot. I have people that will talk to me about potentially running for office, and I tell them it's one of the greatest experiences you can have. It's very stressful, and it's you're putting yourself out there, and there's very few things in life that are like running for office where your name's on the ballot, and it's one of those things that every single day you're thinking about it. What else can I do? What else can I do to be out there? So I want to thank those that are willing to step up, regardless of what the outcome is, because we're fortunate to live in a country where we have this opportunity.
I tried to start the draft Matthew Shepard for governor campaign like 10 years ago, and I've not gotten a lot of traction, but I think if I got some help from you, Maybe, but you don't seem to want to help me with that.
I've enjoyed my time in the House. It was it's been a great situation to be able to continue to live in El Dorado, continue to practice law, be involved in the community, but then also obviously be able to go to the Capitol. And I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to be Speaker of the House. And so, maybe there'll be some other position in the future that might be an opportunity. And, I just try and take it a day at a time and follow what, God's will for my life is.
Yeah. And, therein becomes the issue. A lot of times we're like, okay, Lord, we know you have a plan, but can you let me in on it?
Well, and, politics, so much of it is about timing and it's crazy. You're talking about Fred Love and Kim Hammer. You just mentioned them.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2012, 2013, I ran for Speaker of the House. There were three other opponents: Jeremy Gillum, Fred Love, and Kim Hammer. And so I know all of them very well. They're all very close friends of mine. But we ran. I think I finished second in that race. Jeremy Gillum won. He served 2 terms as Speaker of the House. And at that point, I was kind of like, well, that was my shot.
Window,
that's enough. I'll just be happy where I'm at. And but really, having gone through that, actually kind of paved the way, because a lot of folks, they were like, well, I appreciate how you handled yourself in that situation, and that kind of helped pave the way for me to then run for Speaker later on. But anyway, it's been a great experience.
And of course, you mentioned earlier Bill Nolan and Edwin Alderson, and those guys, they relished in these couple of nights during an election year, primary night and then general election night. And they actually, their offices became the kind of the place. If someone was anyone, they were invited to that and invited to participate in those. And you'd be surprised at the number of seats of power that have walked through those. And those are the things that I think I just say a lot of times I don't think we realize that we've missed. And that is, I've been in Bill Nolan's office when they'd knock and say, Mr. Nolan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the president's on the phone. He said, President of what? And I said, United States. Which one? Oh, well, it's President Bush, who was currently president. He said, tell him I'll call him back.
Or me being a kid walking with you into Mr. Nolan's office and seeing a sitting U.S. senator, and I'm all of 7, 8 years old, trying to shake hands and be professional because I know that that's what I'm supposed to do. But I'm a 7, 8 year old meeting a senator, so I'm just a kid.
Yeah, and it just but those days of the power, and I think that's where people in South Arkansas, when Mike Ross ran against Asa Hutchinson for governor, I know a lot of Republicans in South Arkansas voted for Mike because they said, well, there's this divide between the state. It's called I-40, and everything south and east of it gets forward, and north and west get all the benefit. And of course, north and west also produce a majority of the income, but at the same time, we don't want to feel ignored. And I think that's where it's almost like we have two states. And the people that I find who are maybe slightly disgruntled with the governor currently is because they felt like, when they voted for her, she was going to remember her roots and remember South Arkansas. And she has to an extent, but I think they are hoping to be placated even a little more, or placated more. And so,
well, and I certainly enjoyed my time serving in the House, and enjoyed working and continue to work with Governor Hutchinson before her, and think that both of them have done a great. I think that one of the things that has become apparent to me, I mean, being governor is it's a large position, and all politics are local, and you come back to the House races, those Senate races. There's a lot of things that just in those particular districts that may not be readily apparent to from the outside looking in. So back to one of the things that I've just seen through the years is it really gets back to understanding the lay of the land, and and gets back to the very local nature, particularly of those district races.
I read that you said one time we were talking. You had an opponent coming up in a race, and I remember someone in the room said something basically along the lines of, you know, I don't know that I'd take him seriously. And your response to that was, if his name's on the ballot, I take him seriously.
That's right. I had some Cub Scouts that I met with today. They were working on one of their merit badges on citizenship, I think, and they had some questions for me. And one of the questions was, how many times were you opposed? How many times did you run unopposed? So I had 3 contested races, my first 2 and then my last one. And then I had 5 races that I was unopposed. And of course, the expression is that you either run unopposed or you run scared. And I mean, it doesn't, particularly when you think about a race like state Senate, state House, these local races, you know, you may or may not have the benefit of some polling. Even I know that in my first race, we polled it, and, you know, the poll was very positive. But you still, you don't necessarily trust that. And so at least that was always been my, my philosophy, was just to run as hard as you can. And I think that's what voters expect for you to do.
Run like you're behind. Absolutely.
Because if you don't get out there and do the work, then, you know, that leads to, oh, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't, you know, thinks he has it. And there's always one more thing you can do. And I just tried to do the best I could, you know, as I ran and as I served. But you know, like I said, you either run unopposed or you run scared.
Yeah. Of course, I'm not just picking on the governor. There have been those who, based on their Facebook history, I'll say that they are claim to be conservatives. They claim to be Republicans. They claim to be maybe even pro-Trump. But they're very critical of Tom Cotton, for example, saying he spends too much time in Washington and he doesn't come home enough. He's the ranking member of the Foreign Relations Committee. I'm sure that's a job that just because the Senate's in recess doesn't mean he's in recess. I'm sure there are things and times that they're having to meet and all that. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying there's a lot more to the job than just running and then coming back home and letting everyone know you run. One of Mike Ross's things is I'll never spend a weekend in Washington, D.C. I'm going to fly home every weekend. Well, there was one Saturday night I know for sure that he was still in Washington, D.C. because I got a phone call at 10 o'clock our time on a Saturday night, and he called me and said, I need a little help. And I was like, yeah, well, Congressman, what do you got? And he told me. I said, man, don't worry. We got you. That's not a problem. And I said, but thank you. And he said, for what? I said, well, it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm in my backyard cooking a brisket. You're worried about this committee meeting you're going into. Tells me everything I need to know about running for Congress.
Yeah, well, and we're very fortunate in Arkansas. I think we have a great congressional delegation.
We do.
Senator Cotton, Senator Bozeman, Congressman Westerman, Congressman Hill, Congressman Womack, and Congressman Crawford. And of the 6 in our delegation, 5 hold committee chairmanships, and then the 6th holds, and I believe it's a subcommittee of Ways and Means, like very prominent positions.
Yes.
And to your point, Senator Cotton in a very important role. And I can't remember if it's foreign relations or intelligence, but when you look at what's going on in the world today, particularly over the last few days, to me it's good to know that we have a senator from here in Arkansas that is there on our behalf and is very much a part of that discussion. And so I think that the delegation has always been great to work with. You know, so many times as a state rep, you have constituents with issues. Many of those issues are federal issues, but you know, folks,
they don't want you to tell them it's not your problem.
That's right. And so, you know, I reach out to Senator Cotton's office, Senator Bozeman's office, and they are always very, very responsive. And so I really can't say enough. And obviously, have strongly support Senator Cotton in his reelection effort.
Well, let's go ahead and just be honest about something real quick. Patty Harrigan is the power behind the curtain.
She's always been great.
Yes.
When we use his local office, and Patricia does a great job, and Congressman Westerman's office, Senator Bozeman's office, they are all so receptive and so helpful. I mean, I just know of, I recall of a situation where somebody needed a passport. They're like leaving on a mission trip, and it's like over the weekend, and somehow, some way that they're able to figure these things out, and that's part of what you need is that constituent service, and so I think they all do a great job.
Well, and before we get too far, we're talking about just bragging on people, and I just want to brag on you, Matthew, and it's something I do a lot to you, but I've grown up going to church with you and known you most of my life, and there's very few people that I say I want to be like. I don't. Obviously, I want to be a little bit like my dad. There's some aspects we can leave off.
Not a lot. I hope.
There's aspects we can leave off of there, but in no particular order. Chris Haggai, Matthew, John Thomas Shepard, Buddy McAdams. These are all people that I look up to and aspire to, and so I just want to brag on you and say how restful it was for me to know that you were leading the House, and in the very first election that I got to vote in, yours was probably the first name I clicked.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And
can I say I also want to be like Matthew? Is that? I mean, even though I'm older than he is, can I aspire to grow up to be like Matthew?
Hey, listen, I think we could start a club. Be like Matthew.
Y'all need to stop talking like that, or people are going to be texting in all of my flaws, or just to not make sure
starting with your spouse.
Yeah,
she knows them all.
Well, spouse, kids, parents. Don't even ask my brother.
You can email those to.
Yeah. Again, keep them cards and letters coming, folks. Yeah. Anything you've seen tonight so far that surprises you?
Not really. I haven't. I'm still waiting for a lot of final numbers. I think I've seen final numbers on the hospital vote. Looks like it's roughly like a 60-40 passage rate.
Oh, good, because we had not gotten those yet.
I had been texting earlier, but I think that
well, that's better than the wins tax.
Yeah,
I think the wins tax was 58% in favor.
Yeah,
I believe.
It's like at 67%. That may not be final, but I think that when it comes to the hospital tax, I think one of the things that I've shared is, in my experience and having served for 16 years in the legislature, between Governor Sanders, Governor Hutchinson, and our Republican majority, my class in the House and Senate has probably voted in favor and delivered more tax cuts in the history of the state than anybody else. I mean, we voted for, I think, the two largest tax cuts. And so obviously I love to cut taxes. I love for people to have more of what they earn, be able to keep that. But one thing that I think the feedback I've gotten from constituents through the years is not necessarily opposed to certain taxes if they know what it's going for and if they think it's a valuable service to be provided. And I think that's what we have with the hospital, and having been involved through the years in the last several years and working with UAMS, the state, and even now trying to hopefully get some additional assistance for here in South Arkansas. Rural healthcare, it's a really challenging situation, and I think that this is something, if these numbers hold and it does in fact pass, I think it's just an example of the community coming together to invest in something here locally. And that's one of the things that I've always said about El Dorado, Union County, South Arkansas, is that we're not afraid to, take on issues directly ourselves and to try to solve problems, try to be proactive. That's why you have, a Murphy Arts District. That's why you have a nice downtown. We're investing in the hospital. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We got a community college that's doing great things.
Exploding.
We're going to have a nice baseball field and a dorm. And so I think this is just part of that. And so I'm pleased, obviously, as somebody from El Dorado, as somebody who, hopes that this is a community, if my kids choose to, that they can come back to and want to live.
From your lips to God's ears, brother.
So, when you think about a hospital, I said this a few years ago when we were able to get UAMS involved, it's hard to think of a more significant place in your community. I mean, really, when you get down to it, I mean, for me, it's where I was born, it's where my children were born, siblings were born, but it's also a place that is cared for family members. It's also a place where, family members have taken their last breaths. And so it's very significant, and beyond that, just to have a place that can provide the level of service that we expect And then you go even beyond that to the fact that you have to have a viable hospital if you want to have a chance with any kind of economic development. And
Absolutely.
so, all of those things. And so I think that that's something that's very positive. I understand those that are leery of a tax. As I said, that's kind of my predisposition. But I think in this case, it's something that I think will work out well. And so I'm excited about the opportunities there.
I think the biggest complaint I heard about the tax from people were the ones who said, but there's no sunset on it. And here was my issue with that. I would tell them, say, okay, a half-cent sales tax is estimated to bring in about $3 million a year. Let's just say you put a 20-year sunset on it, okay? That's $60 million. Can you build that facility for $60 million? The answer is no, you cannot.
Not even close.
No. I mean, again, I think 57, 62 million on the new intermediate school.
Yeah. How much did the high school cost?
55 million, I believe.
Yeah.
So no, you could not build that facility for $60 million. And there's my first issue. You couldn't build that facility for $90 million. So if it was a 30-year sunset.
Yeah.
So yes, I can see, sure, everyone wants to say, well, let me know that this is going to go away. In this instance, this is not going to go away. It's going to be funding in perpetuity for a facility that is vital to keeping this community going.
Yeah, and when you think about the need, to your point, the need is not going away. I mean,
oh gosh, no. If anything, it's expanding.
You have to have quality health care. You have to have a quality hospital. And so the need is not going to go away. And if you look across the state there, I don't know the exact number. It was probably somewhere between 20 and 30 other cities or counties that already have a tax in place. And so we've been
most of them more than half.
Right. And so we've been fortunate that we haven't had to get to this point. But rural healthcare, it is a tremendous challenge. You just look around South Arkansas a few years ago when Governor Hutchinson was in office. I think it was right on the back end of COVID. We allocated $50 million to be expended in rural healthcare, and so we to hospitals, and so the state distributed some of that to try to stabilize some of our rural hospitals. And it's not just particular to Arkansas. I mean, you look across the country, this is a challenge, and so I'm pleased to see that our community is doing our part to invest in our own local hospital.
Well, Matthew, I'm getting word in that we have new numbers to put out. Thank you so much for coming by and joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Grant, we're going to throw it back to you. Thanks to our special guest, Matthew Shepard, who is our outgoing state legislator or state representative here in Union County, one of two here in Union County. And so we're going to throw it back to you, Grant, if you want to go to those numbers or commercial break. Either way, this is Election Night 2026.
Yeah, we'll go to those local numbers real quick. And thank you, Matthew, for joining us. I'm glad I'm not having to see you in like West Memphis or Fayetteville or some other town besides El Dorado this time. So
on a cold Friday night.
I nearly had to jumpstart this guy in West Memphis the other night. So
that is true. That is true. Yeah, that's a good point. And that was quite a trip. I can't remember. I think I had my truck in the shop, and I borrowed my parents' vehicle, and I was on the road by myself, and the battery goes out. But thankfully Grant and others waited around to make sure that I was safely on the road back to South Arkansas.
I didn't wait safely on
well, I don't blame you. That's fine.
But I do
you were
remember
probably already back in Little Rock by the time I was leaving.
I remember making that drive back that night and thinking about how much I was wishing I wasn't.
All right, Grant, we're going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, Matthew, come over and call games for us, and I'll push your car home. I mean,
we're not going there. We're not going.
All right, thank you for
Grant,
being a good sport with us. Matthew Shepard, of course, former Speaker of the House and the radio voice of the El Dorado Wildcats. We appreciate him jumping on with us. Let's go over and talk some latest local numbers. We do not have the exact ones on the hospital just as of yet. Excuse me, but we do know that it's trending in a direction in which that hospital tax has passed, and it does look like we will have it. So we'll get those definite numbers here in the next few minutes. Let's go to what we do have on the Secretary of State's website at this hour. El Dorado Alderman, Ward 1, Position 2. Joe Wineski is currently winning that race, 175 votes to Shane Calloway's 87 votes. Wineski 66%, Calloway 33%. Robert Rushing leading the way in the El Dorado City Attorney's race with 59% of the vote, or it's 464 votes to Ryan Wolf's 319, or 40% of the vote. And Paul Schultz looks like he will sail on to a primary victory as he's running for mayor of El Dorado, running for re-election. He has 611 votes to Rico Robertson's 196 votes. So basically 75 to 24 right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at county numbers. And here we go. Tanya Allen with 70% of the vote. Kelly McWilliams Ward with nearly 30% of the vote, 1532 to 640 in that one. In the Union County Tax Assessor's race, Carrie Langley leading the way over Misty Rawls Conley, 54% of the vote, or 1,166 to Misty's 958, so 54 to 45 right there. Other races that we have in the area. Let's scroll through here. In the Justice of the Peace race, Adam Robertson in District 8 leading the way with 60% of the vote to Randy Hendricks is 40% of the vote, 146 to 96. No other races here. In the Smackover Northlet School Zone 4 for the school board there, Derek Goodwin with 92 total votes has 53 of them to Cliff Preston's 39, or 57 to 42. And let's see here. Also in the, we went through the city races. So that's it for Union County votes. When we come back, we'll have a statewide tally. We'll take a look at those statewide numbers, and we'll check in with Senator Jeremy Hutchinson, former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson, who joins us to give us some commentary on those races. Stay with us. The most comprehensive coverage of Election Watch 2026 right here on South Arkansas Now.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim, and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
Country Village Sporting Goods has a little bit of everything you need to get you to the water, the woods, or to the camp. Coming soon, a new shipment of Creek boats. Every year we sell out fast. Get yours ordered today. It seems like we're always unboxing the latest and greatest in lures and tackle. Come check out new colors, new styles, and the latest technology making rods lighter and reels easier to cast. Cruise through our vast selection of camo clothing, coveralls, overalls, boots, outerwear, and more. All at Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado. When it comes to protecting your home or business, trust the name that's been serving South Arkansas for 3 generations, Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. From residential roofs to large commercial projects, the experienced team at Cross delivers quality you can see and reliability you can count on. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal, built on trust, proven by results. Call Cross Roofing today. Put a solid future over your head.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
We welcome you back to Election Watch 2026 here on South Arkansas Now. Thank you for being with us as we give you races from across the state. A lot of numbers coming in, and we are going to give you all of them as we have them. Of course, we'll keep watching that El Dorado hospital tax, but it does look like it's going to pass, and that hospital will continue to be funded in South Arkansas as South Arkansas Regional Hospital undergoes some changes there. In the Democratic primary for governor, State Representative Fred Love leading the way and will sail on to a victory over Sufa Mays tonight. Sufa, of course, ran, I guess, 4 years ago and did not make the cut then. And Fred Love will go on to be the Democratic nominee to take on Sarah Huckabee Sanders in the fall. Cole Jester leading the way handily over Christian Olson in the Republican primary for Commissioner of State Lands. This race has gone back and forth, back and forth. Brian Norris actually leading the way in the latest tally over Kim Hammer and Kathy Harden Harrison. And we'll talk to Jeremy Hutchinson, of course, our political commentator for the night here in just a moment. Nick Bronny leading the way over John Adams with 77,000 votes to Adams of 69,595. We're watching a couple of House races as well. We'll get to those here in a few minutes. But first of all, let's go on ahead and give you some of the races that we do have. Ronald Caldwell, the incumbent in State Senate District 10, 72% of the vote to Trey Bodert Bohannon's 27.35% of the vote. State Representative Brandon Acor leading the way in State Senate District 13 over Misha Martin with 56% of the vote to her 43. And the Democratic race in that one, Allison Sweatman leading the way over Jason Williams, 53-46. And so Rodney Wright will sail on to a victory over Randy Sams in Saline County tonight. It does look that way. And we just know Saline County well enough to know that those numbers are going to hold there. Jeremy Wooldridge, state representative and son of former Senator Tim Wooldridge, leading the way narrowly over Blake Johnson tonight with 765 votes to his 695 votes. Brad Simon leading the way over Adam Watson in the runoff over in State Senate District 26. And Brian King and Bobby Ballinger, just about 52 votes separating them in the precincts that have reported so far, a close race in State Senate District 28. We bring in former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson, who, of course, is watching all of these races tonight. And Jeremy, you've been here on election night. It's not an easy place to be, and it does look like we may have some changes and some things that certain people who made endorsements didn't expect to go their way tonight.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I have to admit, being surprised by some of these outcomes. I look at Blake Johnson and Jeremy Wooldridge, and Jeremy Wooldridge, as you mentioned, his father, longtime state senator, and Jeremy Wooldridge, state representative. But to run against Blake Johnson, who's been a longtime state senator, was endorsed by Senator Bozeman and Governor Sanders, I believe. To see Jeremy Wooldridge winning even in Clay County, I saw that, which is Senator Johnson's home county. It's just things are not going as traditional as they normally do. I don't have an explanation for that, but it is interesting. Now, again, things are early, things can change, but there does seem to be developing a certain trend tonight.
You know,
Voters maybe staking out some independence.
Yeah, I think so. You know, Fred Love, I don't think is going to beat Sarah Sanders in the fall, but is tonight's,
No, absolutely not.
you know, is tonight's District 10 tally for Ronald Caldwell and Bodert Bohannon and some of these other races where, you know, Brian King's leading the way over her candidate, Bobby Ballinger. Do you feel like this is a referendum on the governor from a certain number of folks, or do you feel like that this is just business as usual?
Oh, I think it's probably too much of an assumption to say it's a referendum on the governor. I mean, I think certainly in the Brian King, Bobby Ballinger race, there is a significant vote that is trying to send a message to the governor. But if you look at like Ron Caldwell, while the governor did endorse Ron Caldwell's opponent, Ron Caldwell is very well liked, and his opponent had some considerable issues and baggage I think baggage and the Senator Caldwell's popularity has far more to explain his cruising victory rather than any referendum on. But it is, as a governor, you got to be careful in who you endorse and who you oppose, so that this image doesn't exist out there. If you have a lot of your candidates lose,
Well,
you're right. She is in no danger of losing re-election.
you've known Fred for a
But
long time, and I know that he is somebody that's running on the Democratic ticket. But we haven't had a Democrat probably since Mike Beebe beat your Uncle Asa back in 2006 have that much success.
again, nobody likes your long memory.
Sorry about that, Jeremy. I'm not going to even go into you. So
We're pleased. Uh, no, you're right. The state has turned hard, right, deep red, and I don't think that's going to change. Fred Love is a eloquent, intelligent man who represents his constituents well, but it would take uh, another Mike Beebe to come on the scene and to even have a chance. I think even Mike Beebe would lose in today's environment. So Governor Sanders is in no danger. But it is interesting to see that so far, at least, her endorsed candidates are not faring well in the Republican primary.
a couple of House races that are coming through, as we'll put those on the screen here. A good friend of both of ours, Jeremy, Charlene Fight, winning with a 70-30 margin in her race, representing Crawford and Washington County. So it looks like Charlene Fight may be returning back to the House. Scrolling through some of these other races. Wayne Long leading Cody Smith up in the Batesville area, State Representative District 39, 57-42. A couple of other races. We had a big four-way race up in Logan County with Tanya Fletcher leading Curtis Varnell, Brian Cooper, and Ronnie Tate Young. So that one will likely go to a runoff if the current trend continues. In House District 52, Brent Montgomery leading the way with partially 41 of 48 precincts reporting. He's a justice of the peace in Yell County, leading Christian Thompson, Mike Jones, and dare I say, Jeremy, my date to the 1999 Russellville High School homecoming dance, Crystal Malloy. So
That fact must have leaked out to the electorate. That explains it for like
yes, that revelation may have correlated with her tally in the votes tonight. So we will.
He was polling well until that piece of dirty laundry was made public.
Yeah, you got to watch who you're running around with. That's for sure. In District 53, that's the Russellville area. Matt Duffield leading the way. He is the incumbent over challenger David Howell, who he beat 4 years ago, and that's 55% to 44%. Looking for some familiar names here. Still waiting on the first precincts in the Tony Furman, Steve Brown race in Saline County, Lonnie Mack Goodwin and Dolly Henley. Dolly's, of course, from down near the Texarkana area. Don Creekmore trying to make a return to the House in District 92. No votes yet reported yet in that one. And then another one here in South Arkansas, State Representative District 94, that had no shortage of controversy with Missy Wardlaw and her record of a criminal offense that nearly disqualified her, but she is trailing John Kyle Day 55% to 44%. So those are the legislative races that we have been watching. Any surprises in the House for you, Jeremy?
Well, one race that I'm intrigued by that there's been no results posted yet, at least that I'm not seeing, is Jim Wooten, who is another House member that the governor campaigned against. Those numbers haven't been tallied yet, but I'm interested in that. And then I am a little surprised that and Missy Wardlaw is, and she may end up coming back to win, but I am surprised that she's behind even.
Well, of course, her
Later.
husband, the incumbent in that race, who's not running.
Right. I would think that with her husband, and he won many elections back to back to back. So I'm surprised that she's not faring better. Then I'm very interested in the Saline County not totally Saline County, but the Don Creekmore. And what's interesting, you go back to the Kim Hammer and the Secretary of State's race. What should give Senator Hammer some encouragement is that Saline County apparently has not posted any tallies yet.
Well, that'll add big for him. He's never lost an
Yeah,
election
he's
in
still
Saline County that I know of.
right. So I expect his numbers to jump up. But on the other hand, Miller County, where Judge, just gonna blank on her name, but Judge Arden Harrison,
Right.
they've not posted either. So
Well, it'll be interesting to watch in that Secretary of State's race. Of course, you've got Brian Norris, who I believe was the conduit candidate in that race, and from up at Batesville. He's I talked to him on the phone. He's a really well-spoken candidate and a very nice guy. I spoke to Kim Hammer as well. Did not talk to Miss Harrison, but that'll be a good race. So, Jeremy, we will check in with you later in the night as we continue to analyze these races, and I really appreciate you jumping on board with us this evening. I'll call you here in just a bit.
okay, thanks, Grant.
All right, Jeremy Hutchinson, former member of the Arkansas State Senate. Well, just a moment, we are going to try to get some more information on final races here in Union County. Stay with us. We've got more coming up on South Arkansas Now.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Non-stop phone calls, registered mail, repossessions, or threats of lawsuits from creditors, and it seems like no one is willing to let you hit pause and just catch your breath. You need the help of Robert Rushing and the Rushing Law Firm. Bankruptcy is not the end. It could be a chance for a fresh start. The Rushing Law Firm goes to work for you, letting you hit that pause button and start over. Call the Rushing Law Firm today at 870-875-2940 or stop by the office at 725 Northwest Avenue in El Dorado. The Rushing Law Firm.
Serving South Arkansas for 25 years, and all the while expanding and growing throughout the state, ProMed Ambulance is proving their motto of world-class care and hometown values. For example, their new mobile integrated healthcare communication center. This state-of-the-art facility allows communication specialists to work directly with local 911 call centers to ensure the closest medical team is always dispatched to any emergency. World-class care and hometown values. For more information and career opportunities, go to ProMedAmbulance.com.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
Welcome back. Grant Merrill along with you tonight here in the South Arkansas Now newsroom. We'll go to Sandy Sanford and Jack Sanford here at Fay Rays on the Square here in just a moment. But many of our races going final tonight here in Union County as all the votes have been tallied. Tanya Bass Allen will win the race for Union County Circuit Clerk, Republican nominee with 1,964 votes. To Kelly McWilliams Ward's 805 votes. For tax assessor, Carrie Langley leading the way with 1,493 votes to Misty Rawls Conley's 1,214. In the Justice of the Peace race, with all precincts reporting, Adam Robertson wins that one over Randy Hendricks to be the Republican nominee, 171 votes to 99. We will scroll down into other races here, none in the other category. In the Smackover School Board race, Derek Goodwin will win that one, 55 votes to Cliff Preston's 40 votes. And in the city race, Jill Wineski wins the Republican primary nomination for El Dorado Alderman Ward 1, Position 2, or maybe Alderwoman, we should say. Robert Rushing will go on to be the El Dorado City Attorney in the first contested city attorney's race in the history of the city of El Dorado. He defeats Ryan Wolf tonight, 679 votes to 475. And Paul Schultz sails on to a nomination as the Republican nominee for mayor of El Dorado, 875 votes to Rico Robertson's 307. So that's the tally that we have as Union County, one of the few counties that has turned in all of their votes tonight. So we are definitely glad that Union County is leading the way in that one. We go back to Fay Rays on the Square. Sandy, we were so jealous of your food that my lovely wife Lauren actually cooked and brought me some chicken and mashed potatoes because she was tired of hearing me gripe about the fact that you guys got to eat and I didn't. Turn your microphone up.
Hang on. There we go. There we go.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah. What I was saying is she's a good woman.
She is.
Whether she's too good for you or not, I'll let others decide that.
Look, she married down. I know that. You don't have to tell me that. So,
hey, as someone who is entwined in the silken web of matrimony with someone out of my league, I totally get it. Grant, thank you. And yeah, I think we've seen some finals come in here tonight. I don't know that I saw in your numbers there the access for life tax, but I did just speak to an official at the courthouse a few moments ago, and it looked like about a 66% pass rate on that one, 66-33, I believe.
I've got the stats right here on that.
Okay.
1,371 votes for the tax, 693 votes against the tax.
So 2-1, yeah. So about 2/3 of the voters have said they wanted to fund the hospital with a 50-cent sales tax. And Jack, so as we're looking at these numbers, Tanya Allen wins handily tonight over Miss Ward, and I don't think that's a surprise to a lot of people. I think Tanya started off as the front runner and was going to continue to be. Miss Langley wins the assessor's race pretty easily as well. I think about 58% of the vote. Jill Wineski retains her seat on the El Dorado City Council. Again, not a big surprise there. Robert Rushing will go on to be the Republican nominee for the city attorney. Again, probably not a huge surprise there. I think that was about a 58-42 split on the vote. Paul Choate wins running away. I mean, runs away with the mayoral race.
And, you know, like we talked about whenever we first came on live tonight, nobody could tell us what way they thought it was going to go.
Listen, everybody in both campaigns were saying flip a coin. Everyone in both campaigns were saying flip a coin because that race could go either way. That's what, and I agreed. I kind of pride myself on having my finger on the pulse in the community, but in this instance, it appears that low turnout may have hurt Rico. He was getting a lot of promises from people who just didn't show up at the polls.
Yeah, you know, and having conversations with Rico, he was confident leading into tonight and thought that he stood a very strong chance of taking away the nomination from the incumbent mayor Paul Choate. And ultimately, you know, whether it be people not showing up and voting for him, or maybe misreading the support that he thought he had, you know, Paul's going to go on to be the Republican nominee, and so he's going to face off against Andre Rux come
in
this
November.
fall.
You know, and therein again comes the question. So, is there a way that he can take those people who are disgruntled with him through their votes for Rico? Can he then win them over to his side? Can he make them excited enough to vote for him instead of just voting against someone else?
And, you know, going back to the point that you made earlier, it's really easy for people in our position and people sitting at home to gripe and bark about whatever public servant is serving in that role not doing a good enough job. But, you know, at the same time, buddy, I didn't see your name registered to run for the position.
That's right.
And so, you know, any candidate is going to have shortcomings and shortfalls and holes that you can poke in them somehow, some way. Ultimately, it's going to wind up to be, what do the people of El Dorado want to live with? And so come November, it's going to be a decision, you know, for people to go out and vote either for Paul or for Andre. And it's going to shape up to be a very interesting race.
You know, and Paul is somewhat at a disadvantage because he has Andre on his city council. And to me, it appeared that maybe Andre and some others, they kind of goaded him, Paul, a little bit. And, you know, maybe said some things, then Paul felt like he had to respond. I think if I'm not handling anyone's campaign, but if I'm handling Paul's campaign, I'm telling him, just say thank you and move on. Don't fall for it, because that's what it appeared to me as tried to happen in the last meeting before an election. And they were it appeared that there were people who were trying just to get Paul to lose his temper, and maybe they were successful at that. I bet you that, and he's not here to defend himself, so I'm not going to speak for him, but it wouldn't surprise me if Paul said, I wish I'd have handled that differently.
Yeah. And, and obviously serving in the role that I serve in just in the community and with South Arkansas now, I've got to have a lot of conversations with all three mayoral candidates, especially over the last few months. And, I have had very, very good conversations with all three of them about things that they want to see the city progress in and the vision that they have. And it's really just going to be about who do you think can execute that vision, and does that vision line up with yours?
Yeah. Well, speaking of people, you said a while ago, hey, I didn't see your name on the ballot. We've got a special guest that he said, you know what, by gosh, I'm going to do that. Lance Greer is here with us. And Lance, anyone who's familiar with my voice will know that is not the only time I have ever said your name out loud. For years doing El Dorado Wildcat football, both radio and television, I called a whole lot of your games. Now, remind me, were you defensive tackle?
I was a offensive guard.
Offensive guard, okay.
I blocked for all the quarterbacks and running backs that came to this school, 2005 through 2007.
So you never got to play with John Thomas.
Well, let's take that back. 2004, 2007. I actually was able to start as a sophomore.
Okay.
And so I got to block for him.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and they some of the older guys were mad at me because I kind of moved some people out of the
took somebody
position.
Took somebody up the spot. Yeah,
I was like, this is my way to college.
Yeah,
my parents don't have fun and things like that, so this is the way.
This is how it has to be.
And so I put all the work I could into it, and played 3 years, and ended up getting all state, and went to college and played, and then tore my knee up.
Yeah,
and that was all there was to it. I was like, I got to work when I get older. So
let's talk about what we're doing now. I mean, you are what, 36?
36.
Yeah, 36 years old, and you could live anywhere in the world.
Right.
So for those who don't know, Lance has the skills of a culinary chef, and man, I'm telling you, every major metropolitan city in the world has 60 openings today for a head chef or a sous chef.
Right.
So why did you come back to El Dorado?
Well, school loans. No, but I'd gone to college up in Rhode Island, culinary school, did that, and then went down to New Orleans, worked for a while, learned under those great people down there, the great chefs, the great food. You cannot get anything like it. And I wanted to learn under traditional, New Orleans chefs. And then I got an opportunity to come back here and work. And I figured might as well try to save up some money, pay off some loans. And so I moved back here and started cooking, and actually worked right here in this building for 2 years. I'm sure people remember. And then went to the country club, and I was out there for 7 years.
I was on the board at the club when we hired you away, and it was a coup. There were people who thought we couldn't pull that off.
Oh, at that point, that's just what had to be done. And that was the best move for me and my family.
So you come back here, and now you're not only going to live here, but you're not just setting up roots, but you're wanting to be involved in the civic process. And you put your name on the ballot for city council in Ward 2.
Yeah. For years I kind of sat back and watched, and, like most people complain, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And I said, you know what? I'm here. Let's go for it. Let's get in this race and for alderman and see if we can make a change anyhow, or maybe even just encourage other younger people with families to get involved, because that is the only way we're going to move forward, is by getting younger people involved that are trying to have that deciding factor of, do we want to stay here or do we want to move out? And so if we want these people to stay here, we have to make sure that there are things here for them to do, for the jobs for them to work, and just feel comfortable being here.
I've taught my kids their entire life, and there's one of them sitting there that go wherever life takes you. But if life does bring you back home to El Dorado, then thank God for it. But come back and provide. Come back and be a member of the community. Don't just come back and take up space. And so far, 3 of my 6 children have moved away, and 2 of them have moved back. Jax, who's very involved in not only this company, but some other business ventures here in town. And then my son, Cam, who's the U.S. U.S. history and civics teacher at the high school. And trying to talk my daughter into moving back after her law degree, but I don't think that's going to happen.
What we need to do is we need to get Matthew and we need to have a private conversation with him.
Yeah, that's right. I think she would come back for Matthew, not for me or you.
No,
but for Matthew, she would.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you and I might as well be gum on the bottom of the shoe if Matthew were to call her.
Yeah. So. You see those numbers rolling across the bottom of the screen. Any races that surprised you tonight?
Definitely the mayor race, but I think it's like what you said. It's all about the voter turnout. And this is what, I was trying to push. And like Mr. Rushing's campaign, they were pushing, we need not, because the people that have always voted will still go vote. But the people who have kind of been on that fence, like my vote doesn't count, because I used to be one of those people. And then I realized I got to stop thinking like that.
Well, it doesn't if you don't vote.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly. And you can see what ended up happening. You get low turnouts, and it just kills the odds if you're planning to have even a certain demographic or, certain people as far as where they live in the city to come and vote for you. I mean, if it doesn't turn out that way, the person's going to win the people that go and vote for them. And that is just how it is. And we have to try to help people understand that more and more, and from younger people, especially.
Yeah. And going back to that younger people, I was going to say that you brought up a good point in that we really should have more younger people serving in the local government, and especially if El Dorado is a city that we want to see grow, and South Arkansas as a whole is something that we want to see grow.
Right.
Then young people are going to have to get involved, because in order to bring young people and their families into our community, we're going to have those kinds of minds shaping where our community is going in order to attract. Yeah. You almost have to be what you want to attract.
Well, you have to relate to them, and they have to relate to you. I think the average, I'm going to ballpark here, but the average age of our council now, including the mayor, I think is around, let's say, average 60, somewhere in there. I think is a close number. And they have a lot of experience, things like that. But if we can pay attention and we can get involved, then we can just take what we want to do and move forward, and and start making these big changes that we want to make, whatever that may be, and let's all talk together about it. That's one thing I see these days. It's a lot of here, but I mean, back in the day,
eventually we have to get here.
Right. Back in the day, because when it was Democrat, Republican, but there was a lot of moderation, a lot of moderates on each side. They were down the middle, and
there definitely seems to be what's missing from both parties today.
Well, and that's just nationwide.
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as civil discourse anymore. It's we either agree or I hate you.
Well, it's always the overcorrecting. One side gets in, we go way this way. The other side gets in, we go way this way. And so, we have to just sit down and kind of listen to each other without yelling at each other. And I know that can be hard to do a lot of times.
It comes back to you have to respect one another.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can disagree with you without being disagreeable.
Right.
I can disagree with you without disrespecting you.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot want you to win, but then if you do, I can support you and what it is you hope to accomplish.
Right.
If it fits in with what I would like to see accomplished.
Right.
If not, then my job is to get out of the way, not get in the way. And that's one of the things I've noticed is a lot of times when people lose, instead of getting out of the way and saying, okay, you can have it like you want it, then they just get in the way.
Right.
And they decide, okay, I'm just going to gum up the works. And that doesn't help anyone. The only time I've ever seen stagnation really help an economy was in the 90s.
Right.
And when the Democrats and Republicans in Congress couldn't agree, they couldn't pass a bill. I think they went 18 days one time without passing a single bill. And guess what happened in the mid 90s?
A lot of people loved living back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, the economy exploded. Why? Yeah. Because government was out of the way.
Exactly.
Laissez-faire.
Yeah. And so, but you're right. It is exciting to me as a 54-year-old to know that there's 36-year-olds who want to be a part of this process,
Right.
who want to get involved, who are willing to put their name on the ballot, who are willing to put their reputation on the line, and frankly, go out and debase themselves by raising money to do it.
Right. And, you know, look, especially at this age, we're busy. You got family, kids, sporting events, jobs. You know, I get it. I get it. Trust me. And there's a lot going on with our family right now as far as just things we're trying to do and accomplish and our son. But, you know, if we just sit back and keep thinking, oh, I don't have the time or I don't, you know, then we'll never know. We will
If
never
not
know.
now, then when?
Right, exactly.
And that's what it boils down to. Jax
And
can
if
tell
not
you,
me, then who?
Then who?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Jax can tell you when he was younger, I had 3 kids at the time, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to get you there 30 minutes early so I can get him there on time, and you're going to be 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
And that's how it went. I mean, and we would shift it around. So, okay, well, you're going to make it to karate on time. You're going to be late to cheer, and you're going to be early to baseball practice.
Yeah, we just rotate.
And Coach would make me run when I was late for baseball practice. Coach Sanford just
yeah, he's a tough man. I'm just telling you. He grew up old school.
Yeah.
Under Coach Sanford.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Who, believe it or not, grew up under Coach Sanford.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, Lance, thank you so much for coming by and visiting with us. We really do appreciate it. And we wish you the very best. And Grant, we're going to throw it back to you for a moment. And then I think we have a couple more candidates who still want to get on with us, and we'll talk about some of these races tonight. And again, Grant, thank you for showing those at the bottom of the screen. That's, I'm like you, not a lot surprised me tonight other than mayoral race.
Right.
Just anticipated that was going to be closer based on what we were hearing, the rhetoric in the community.
Correct. You know,
Not from a campaign or a candidate, but just in the community overall, what we were hearing, I really thought that race was going to be close.
Right. And like you said, talk to anybody in either of the camps, and they would have told you it was a coin toss.
Mm-hmm.
And so for it to turn out the way that it did tonight truly was surprising. And, you know, honestly, all that means to me is that come November, this thing could get even more exciting.
And could be more surprises on hand there. So again, Lance, thank you so much.
Thank
He's
y'all
Lance
so much.
Greer. He is candidate for city alderman for Ward 2. And we will be back to talk more about our election here locally. And we're going to kick it back to Election Central and to you, Grant.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
Country Village Sporting Goods has a little bit of everything you need to get you to the water, the woods, or to the camp. Coming soon, a new shipment of Creek boats. Every year we sell out fast. Get yours ordered today. It seems like we're always unboxing the latest and greatest in lures and tackle. Come check out new colors, new styles, and the latest technology making rods lighter and reels easier to cast. Cruise through our vast selection of camo clothing, coveralls, overalls, boots, outerwear, and more. All at Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado. When it comes to protecting your home or business, trust the name that's been serving South Arkansas for 3 generations, Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. From residential roofs to large commercial projects, the experienced team at Cross delivers quality you can see and reliability you can count on. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. Built on trust, proven by results. Call Cross Roofing today. Put a solid future over your head. Call 870-639-1323.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
Back here in Election Watch Central, here at the South Arkansas Now newsroom. I'm Grant Merrill. Thank you for being with us here tonight on South Arkansas Now. You see the local races scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Let's real quickly get to our statewide races very quickly before we send it back to Sandy Sanford over at Fay Rays on the Square in downtown El Dorado. Fred Love will be the Democratic nominee for governor of Arkansas in the fall election. We have projected him as the winner as he beat Sufa Mays with 81% of the vote to Sufa's 18% of the vote. Cole Jester looking to also be the Republican nominee for Commissioner of State Lands as he beats Kristen Olson 103,184 to 39,189. We will likely have a runoff, a runoff in the Republican primary for Secretary of State. Of course, with 48,034 votes going to Brian Norris at this hour, 47,480 to Kim Hammer, and 46,641 to Judge Kathy Hardin Harrison. Nick Bronny leading the way right now against John Adams in the state Supreme Court Justice position 3. So that's what we have right now. Let's go on ahead and try to get that U.S. Senate race. Give me just a moment. And of course, Tom Cotton leading the way with 82% of the vote as the Republican nominee. No problems there for Tom Cotton. Hallie Schaffner will be the Democratic nominee in the U.S. Senate with 78% of the vote. French Hill going on to win the Republican nominee for U.S. Congress in District 2 tonight, 77% of the vote. Chris Jones will be the Democratic nominee facing off with French Hill in the fall with 92% of the Democratic tally tonight. And James Russell III winning with leading the way with 77,501 votes to Stephen Lane O'Donnell 7,309. A statewide race right now, 200 votes. Separating those candidates right now. So that's your statewide tally. We'll get a hold of Jeremy Hutchinson later in the hour and get some commentary on those particular races. But right now, back to Fay Rays on the Square in downtown El Dorado, where Sandy Sanford and Jack Sanford have a man with them that can go on ahead and take care of the city attorney's job and also can help you file for bankruptcy if you need to. That would be Robert Rushing with the Rushing Law Firm. Hopefully, none of us have to do that. So, but Robert, thank you for being with us, and Sandy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Grant, and Robert. So, I think it's important to say that you have not yet been reelected as city attorney.
I have not.
You've received the nomination of your party,
correct?
But you still have a race come this fall.
I do. There is a Democratic challenger, so there will be a November election for city attorney.
And again, we've never had an election for city attorney. As far back as I can study, I've never seen an election for city attorney in El Dorado. I've asked some old timers, and they're like, I don't remember one. And
I don't either. Mr. Kinslow was city attorney for, I knew how long, but 30 years or more, I think.
Yeah, Moses was wearing short pants. Yeah.
Right. And so there had never been a contested election that I could remember. And when he told me he was retiring and asked me to run, I ran last time, ultimately unopposed. Initially had a Democratic challenger, but who took a position that she had to withdraw from the election for. So yeah, this is new territory for me. I didn't really sign up to be a politician.
So not only did you get one race, but you get two. That'll make up for not having one last time, I guess.
I guess so.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
I asked you on the podcast the other day if you thought your daughters were the best asset you had, and you said along with your lovely wife. And I have to hand it, your daughters were working. I saw them out. They worked hard.
They were, and I do. I owe them a huge gratitude for all the work they put in, because I still have a business to run. And so, like I say, I didn't sign up to be a politician, but they've got out there. They really worked. They know some of this Facebook stuff that I don't, and so I just really they have done all the legwork for me.
Well, of course, looking at those numbers tonight, I think 58% basically was that how it came back, 58-42 in your favor. One of the things that I heard, especially in the last few days of the race, there were some people who were lumping you in with some others. So, well, he's just part of that system. And actually, I think there were some people who said, he's not. And that's why he has an opponent.
I think that's why I had an opponent, correct.
Because you weren't part of the system.
Right.
And so number one, again, congratulations on your nomination. But number two, knowing that possibly the system was working against you says even more.
Right. I think so. But we do still have an election ahead of us. And so we're going to keep working. We appreciate everybody's support. Definitely appreciate all the votes tonight. And we just got to keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, in the meantime, nothing changes for you. Like I said, you still have a business to run.
That's it.
And then on top of that, you probably get a few weeks where you don't have to do anything, but it won't be long, and you'll have to be right back out campaigning again.
That's it. No, November's going to be here before we knew it. March definitely cropped up on me a whole lot quicker than I thought.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. That ground pig, he didn't know what he was talking about, and so we never really had a winner. We had 1 week of ice, and that was it.
Right.
And then now we are in March, and like I said, it won't be long, and school will be going back into session.
Right.
Summer will have passed, and it'll be fall again, and it's time to run. And so we know that you have a lot of things you hope to accomplish between now and then, and I think that you've been very effective in getting your message out. And that is, again, and I've asked this of you before. I said, Robert, you have a law degree. You're running for a job that pays $22,000 a year. I think you spent more than that on your campaign.
It feels like it sometimes. And my wife questions my sanity. But
so my question was why? And you, to me, you had the best answer when you said, because I have a heart to serve.
And that's it. And the city needs someone dedicated to it who can do a good job and a thorough job. And if I felt there was somebody better out there, I'd support them. Let them have it. But if not, I'm going to keep doing what I can for my community.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations. We appreciate it. You looked at the other races tonight. Was there any surprises to you?
There wasn't. There was a few a little bit closer than I thought, but overall it went pretty much like I expected it to.
I think for us, and again, we are not on the inside by any stretch.
In fact,
we were just listening to what we were hearing throughout the community, and I think we kind of expected the mayoral race to be a little closer.
I did, because
I guess from what I can deduce from what I've seen so far, and I'll really get into the numbers in the next few days, but from what I can see so far, is it appeared as though Rico had gotten some commitments from people who just didn't show up to vote.
And that could be it. When we're at 11-12% of registered voters voting.
Yeah.
That can make a huge difference if more people will just get out and vote.
And again, I just go back to these numbers, and it's not that long ago if you think about it. In 2018, we had a countywide race with 12,373 votes cast. 5,344 of those were cast early. Right. I think we ended up with right at 2,200 early votes.
That's close.
And we had two countywide races. Now, this November will be different. It will be different because you do have a sheriff's race on the ticket as well. So that will change the turnout for sure. At least in the county. Yeah. In the county it will. I don't know about in the city if it will or not. Because honestly, a mayoral race should have been the biggest thing.
Yeah, and the hospital tax I was thinking would motivate a little bit higher turnout, but again, we're about at those anticipated numbers for a midterm.
Less than 1,200 votes cast in the Republican primary for mayor. In 2018, we had 3 people running for mayor on the Republican ticket, and that was Bill Luther, Frank Hash, and Chris Lutman.
Right.
Okay, 1,198 votes cast. So that trend held.
Yeah.
That trend held with only 548 of them voting early. And I think maybe a little more than that voted early this time. but still that same small number of votes determines possibly who's going to be mayor.
Right.
And so, again, we'd love to see when people get out and vote.
That's it.
We do. And I think it's just one of those privileges that not everyone gets to enjoy, and we should take full advantage of.
And especially in your local elections, because at the municipal level is where you're really interacting with those elected officials, and it really makes a big difference in your day-to-day lives. These are the people of your community.
Well, and your municipal leaders are going to be affected more than anyone by national decisions. For example, the big beautiful bill, which most conservatives and most Republicans and even some conservative Democrats were very much in favor of the big beautiful bill. There are some really great things. There are some monies for rural health care.
Right.
That Matthew Shepard and our congressional delegation, they're working on trying to ascertain those dollars for us locally. But there's also things in that legislation that could adversely affect you.
This is true.
So there are cuts in funding to prosecutors' offices, and there are some prosecutors in the state who've already contacted the city attorneys of the cities they represent and said, you're going to have to start prosecuting your own cases.
Right. We've been real lucky here in El Dorado. The state prosecutor has just mixed the city docket in with the county docket because they have this grant funding that helps them keep more employees, part-time prosecutors out there, and that's very likely going to change.
Yeah, and and all of a sudden, again, with that change, you're not going to get someone to run for city attorney and have to be the prosecutor for $22,000 a year. So the city council is going to have to come up with a whole new budget, and you can't just have a prosecutor. They have to have assistants. They have to have investigators. They have to have all these things.
Right.
And so when I say local elections matter, these are the people who are being affected by. Look, there was no way anyone other than Donald Trump was going to win Arkansas. I mean, it was the first state they called in 2024 on that election. He carried Union County by 66%. He carried Columbia County by 67%, Calhoun County by 80%, and even Ouachita County at 58.7%. So all these people voted for the guy who brought us the big, beautiful bill. I'm not saying it would have changed, but had they known, oh, wait a minute, that may mean that my property taxes in the city have to go up so we can pay a prosecutor.
Right.
It might have just said, hey, hang on, question here, So that's why voting in your local city elections, municipal elections matters so much.
It does. It really does.
And so, again, I don't want to hold you. I know we've kept you from grandkids and kids and all that tonight. And so thank you.
They've been having a big time.
Yeah, I saw them. But thank you for taking some time to come by and visit with us. He's Robert Rushing, El Dorado City Attorney, and he has secured the nomination from the Republican Party to run for that position again. He will have a race come November. I'm going to ask you a question here. Over or under 5? How many times a week will you hear the words, I thought your race was over?
Over.
Yeah, I think so
over
too.
5.
I think you'll get that more.
We're putting the house on the over, Dad.
That's right. That's right. So again, Grant, we're going to throw it back to you real quick, and then we can talk some more about these races here. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us here locally tonight.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
The brand new deli is open at Davis Farms Country Market, featuring Boar's Head cheese and meats. Try the Turkey Bacon Ranch, the London Broil Roast Beef, the Club Sandwich, or a fresh and crispy BLT. Check out their Cranberry Pecan Chicken Salad, not to mention fresh hot gumbo, the soup of the day, and more. Davis Farms Country Market, 4523 Junction City Highway, or call 870-639-1323.
With a name you trust, you can count on us. Glen Mechanical, plumbing, heating, and air.
For over 6 decades, Glen Mechanical has been specializing in HVAC, plumbing, And all mechanical jobs. 3 generations family owned and operated since 1956. Glenn Mechanical's business is based on relationships. They support and give back to the communities they work in. Contact them for all of your HVAC, plumbing, and mechanical needs. GlennMechanical.com.
When it comes to your family's financial future, peace of mind matters. At Harrison Financial Management, they are right here to help you plan, grow, and protect what matters most. Whether you're planning for retirement, investing wisely, or securing your family's future, they will guide you every step of the way. Harrison Financial Management, your future, their commitment.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
Back here in beautiful El Dorado. Thank you for being with us tonight here on SouthArkansasNow.com as we bring you live election coverage. And it's our pleasure to go to Little Rock, where Secretary of State Cole Jester joins us on the Newsmaker line. And Secretary, first of all, congratulations on your race tonight. It looks like you get a big win over your opponent in the race for Arkansas Commissioner of State Lands. But also, Cole Jester, what a congratulations we need to give you on running such a great election tonight, where we've had a lot of different counties called in and precincts counted early tonight, and it looks like we're going to get this thing done at a reasonable hour. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. What an opportunity it is to serve this state. How many people sit at home? And honestly, when it takes 3 days to get your election results in, that gives them a negative impression on, can you even trust the process? When we fight for efficiency and speed, that lends itself. People say that they are proud of how we do things in Arkansas, which frankly, the Heritage Foundation ranks us as the #1 state in the country for how we do our elections, and people should feel proud about that.
Talk about let's talk about two things. First of all, your race for Commissioner of State Lands, and you win the party primary on that. And for our listeners down here who didn't catch our interview last week, let's just talk about this office that you're wanting to attain, because you had a lot to say about what you want to do when you get there, and it looks like you're well on your way.
The work does not stop tonight, it starts tonight. And honestly, we are coming into a legacy of a land commissioner who has done a great job, but you don't just sit on a legacy, you build on it. And that's what we want to do. We want to start by fighting to get better deals and more deals for our natural resources on state land. We have over 100 oil and gas leases. We have the opportunity to try to bring prosperity through what God's given us in the ground, through what God has given us in the trees, or in various, even things like gravel and sand you don't even think about. But we need to make the most of it, and we need to keep doing the core job of the office well, which is making sure that properties aren't sitting on state rolls but are getting put back on the market.
Well, I know that that's an exciting thing, and you've obviously studied this well. And Jack Sanford was on with us earlier and was kind of talking about you guys going to Ouachita together, and just what you were like a Bible major down there, and it ended up going into office because it's kind of what you felt called to do. And I know if that's the correct story, I know that this is a calling more than anything for you to keep on serving the state of Arkansas as a constitutional officer.
What did I learn being a Christian studies major? It's when you look at the Bible, you don't read your own biases into it. You try to see what it's teaching you. And really, I think that's what most Arkansans want their lawyers to do with laws. They don't want you to read some crazy constitutional theory that didn't exist into it. They want you to read it for what it says so that their lives can be predictable under the law. And that's what I've tried to live my life like in public service. And I think tonight you can see people have responded well to it, and I've just been very blessed.
One of the closest races in the state right now is that of the person who will succeed you as Secretary of State, at least the Republican nominee in that. And that one is, if I had $1 for every time that's gone back and forth tonight, I think I could buy a state dinner.
Extremely, extremely close. Extremely close. And, all three candidates giving somewhat of a different vision. So it'll be interesting to see who wins. It seems like it will almost certainly go to a runoff, and it will be one of those things where I think everyone will be waiting with bated breath to see how it turns out.
Okay, well, Cole, congratulations tonight. Thank you for spending some time with us here on South Arkansas Now. And I know that you've got a lot to do ahead of you, and this night isn't over. We've got a lot of races to call and a lot of counties to still give precincts. So whatever numbers we're seeing right now, they may change and they may flip-flop before it's all said and done.
We still have results coming in, and I'm proud of my staff. We're staying late because it's important to get it done as soon as we can.
All right, my friend, thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.
No, thank you for what you do. I'm really appreciative. Thank you to the listeners, and y'all have a good night.
All right, there you go. That is Cole Jester, Arkansas Secretary of State, joining us exclusively here on South Arkansas Now. So we go back to Fay Ray's on the Square, where Sandy Sanford and Jack Sanford are standing by. And what a great guy, Jax. I know he's one of your friends from college, and you had a chance to get to know him. I used to do his baseball games on the radio when he was a Benton Panther, so I know him back to that. And it's really just kind of neat to see how God uses a man and how he brings him to, at such a young age, to a constitutional office in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah, looking back at it and looking back to the very first time I met Cole, was at a event there at OBU where he was a member of a club, and they were parading us around, showing us all the different clubs, and I go to shake hands with Cole, and it was by far one I was at OBU, and so I had tons of genuine interactions every day. But the first time shaking Cole's hand felt like one of the most genuine interactions I'd ever had with a stranger. And to know that last time I saw him just a couple months back, he looked at me for a second, was like, "You've lost hair since the last time I saw you." and we just went to laughing and joking like we hadn't missed a beat. And so to see Cole succeeding in the way that he has so far, and to know that somebody who at least shares some similar values to me is there trying to earnestly and honestly make a difference for our state, for the betterment of our state. And I really just couldn't be more proud of somebody that I'm glad to call a friend.
And Jax, you said it. I met Cole for the first time back in, I guess it was October, and just how genuine he came off, and that's what I appreciate. And there were some people who they kind of wrote his obituary politically because they said he was appointed by the governor to fill an unexpired term in Secretary of State's office, but he's done a great job. That's the thing. He's taken what could have been a tumultuous time and just kept the momentum going.
Well, and in the entire time that I've known Cole, and it's not like he and I were ever just best friends. I don't want to put the false assumption out there. Cole and I were never just the best of friends, but everything I ever saw Cole doing, he was doing to the absolute best of his ability, and trying to live his life in fulfilling that calling of doing everything that you do, doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I'm just blown away with how well he's been able to do everything that he's done so far.
Yeah. So Mayor Paul Schode had come by to visit with us earlier, and we already had like 3 candidates lined up, and so we weren't able to get to him. And then he was like, "Hey, tell him I'll catch him. I'll catch him on the flip side." And so our apologies to Mayor Schode for not being able to accommodate his schedule and get him in here with us. But I'm sure he would have had a lot he could have offered insight-wise.
It's a busy night when the mayor has to stand in line.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very true. And, I think that we'll get an opportunity to have a good conversation with Paul and have him express his gratitude and to the people who showed out to vote and even take accountability. And I know that that's one of the things that he talked about was taking accountability and making sure that everything that is done for the city is done for the betterment of the city.
Yeah. I had someone text me a while ago, and they said they thought I was missing the point on Rico. And I'm like, okay. And they said, at least in their circle, there were too many people who believed he was running for that office as a vendetta against the police department. We asked him that question specifically during our last podcast.
I thought Boomer off the back porch. You should check it out, by the way.
Yeah, I thought he answered that tremendously. I thought he answered that with exactly the kind of answer you would hope for someone who does not have a vendetta, so this person who texted me, they may be 100% right. And obviously they have a better feel of the pulse of their circle than I did. I don't think I expected him to win. I think you and I had that discussion several times. I said it's going to be hard. One, he was spending a lot of time and energy, and I think if he goes back and look, he was spending a lot of time and energy with the disenfranchised voter as opposed to appealing to the certain voter.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who are going to vote. Those are the people you need to be in front of. Those are the people you need to be talking to, explaining to them, I don't have a vendetta against the police department. And so here's the challenge, I think, for Mayor Choate. And that is, can he win over those people who voted for his opponent, number one? And if Rico truly has a heart to serve, is there somewhere he can find where Rico can serve his community?
Right. And, it used to be that, back in the old Greek Republic or Roman Republic, that the loser of the presidential race would just be the other president.
Yeah.
Obviously that doesn't work to the exact extent everybody thought that it would. But
could you imagine Al Gore having been George W. Bush's vice president?
Well, he invented the internet.
Yeah, and there were WMDs in Iraq. I know.
And jet fuel melt still. Oh, we got to stop.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
Well, my point is that this is a point where he doesn't have to be, but Mayor Choate could come across as gracious. And I think reaching out to those people who have concerns, whether it's about transparency, equality, or accountability, where he can reach out to them and assure them, because believe me, that's not the only time that slogan's going to be used against him in this mayoral race. As a matter of fact, I watched a podcast the other night with a city council member on it. And there was another political candidate on there, and they were saying, hey, this didn't just start. This good old boy system's always run things this way. And I mean, if you listen to them and you wonder why would I ever move to El Dorado, Arkansas, you wouldn't, because the way they described it, I mean, it's as full of graft as Tammany Hall in those old elections in New York, So I think there's a discourse that is missing in that race, and I don't think it's going to be found in that race. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon the mayor to, one, not let those people get under his skin. And he is the transparent candidate. He is doing things in a way that benefits the city, and move forward from there.
And and if you're Andre, you're coming in and you're running on saying, hey, there's things that I don't feel are being done the best way possible in our city, and I'm wanting to make that change. And Andre's going to have some questions to answer, and so will Paul.
Yes.
And ultimately it's going to come down to which candidate's answers align most with your beliefs and what you want to see for the future of your community. It's not always going to be about if they're red or blue, but about whose values truly line up with yours, and who you think is going to fight for you and I to have a better life.
So, for example, when Frank Hash won the race for mayor, shortly after winning that race, he asked me if I would serve on the Parks and Tourism or Parks and Playgrounds Commission here locally. And the first thing I disclosed to him, I said, Mayor, you need to understand something. I did not vote for you. And he's like, I don't care. That's the right answer.
Exactly. The very first election that I got to participate in was the 2024 election. I wasn't old enough to vote in the 2016 election just by a few months. And then COVID election 2020, turnout across the country was really low. So
except by mail.
Yeah, except by. And so, I didn't get to participate in either of those. And so then my first time to get to vote was in the 2024 election. And I had people saying that they knew exactly how I voted. You ask my Republican friends, they think I'm a Democrat liberal, and you ask my Democrat friends, they think I'm a conservative Republican.
I get accused of both all the time.
And if only they knew how purple my ballot was whenever I turned it in.
I came across it a little while back, and that was I had posted on Facebook, I guess, after I'd voted that day, and I was number like 3,000 something to vote early. And I said, I don't know I've ever voted for this many Democrats in my life. And,
ooh, man, Paul would love to hear you say that.
Yeah, right. And he would. And there was someone who messaged or commented on that post and said, I can tell you which ones you voted for. And they named them. And I mean, they nailed them. They nailed every single one. And it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm not as mysterious as I hoped I was,
Yeah.
But, again, it goes back to not voting party, but voting for whom it is you believe will do the best work for what a vision you can get behind.
Exactly.
For whatever that office is. I mean, again, come this fall, it's going to be a little different. Now, it's still not a presidential election year, so the voting in November will still be low compared to a presidential election. But we do have a sheriff's race on the ballot.
And that always.
Yeah. And here in the South, especially, or let me say in rural communities, the sheriff's race really does kind of that and county judge. And we'll have that. Supposedly, that's going to be a race on the ballot as well. Supposedly, there's an independent who's going to have the required number of signatures. There is another measure on the ballot come this November, and that is for Sunday alcohol sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be on the ballot here locally in, I don't know if that's a countywide thing or just in the city, but
I want to, actually, I don't know, and I don't want to say incorrectly. We'll get back to y'all on that one.
That group that's pushing that campaign, I worked with them 20 plus years ago on some campaigns in Texas. They're very good. They're very smart. They wouldn't be bringing this ballot initiative if they didn't already feel like they have the votes.
Right. And I know that the sentiment coming from the people who are in favor of this is let's keep our dollars local.
Quit seeing them go to Haynesville, and Junction City.
Yeah, we're watching people drive across the state line to go spend money on something that ultimately is not doing anybody any good. And you ask certain people, and they say it's an infringement on their rights to keep them from buying alcohol on Sunday.
Well, then you have the other side of this, or not the other side, but an additional argument to that is, do we really want them driving somewhere and then getting their alcohol?
Exactly.
I mean, is that what we want? Because we want them to have to drive from Haynesville on Highway 15.
Well, and go down across the state line, and you've got drive-through liquor stores with drinkable drinks,
with prepared drinks,
adult slushies, as some may call them.
I've heard
Don't
that.
be hating on my drive-through daiquiri stand.
No, we're not.
We're not hating. We're just saying
they're not legal in Arkansas, and but alcohol sales in general are not legal in Arkansas on Sundays. But the legislature has left it open to being a local initiative. And so that will be on the ballot this November as well. So you've got those two issues. I mean, you got that issue. You've got a sheriff's race, possibly a county judge's race. So you could have a larger vote turnout countywide.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that changes anything inside the city. The elephant in the room here. Let's talk about it for a second. You're going to have an African-American running for mayor in Andre Rux. You're going to have an African-American running for city attorney. You're going to have an African-American running in Ward 1. You're going to, for city council, you have one running in Ward 2 for city council, or two actually running in Ward 2.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a possibility that those candidates' campaigns could increase the voter turnout among that community and among that demographic. And now I don't know that there's enough votes there's not enough registered voters currently to change that. If I'm working those campaigns, the one thing I'm doing between now and then is trying to raise the number of registered voters and making sure that those people are registered to vote. And by those people, I mean those who are not registered. Make sure they are registered. People who legally can be, make sure they're registered. That is mission number one if I'm running any of those campaigns. And I've run a lot of campaigns, but I'm just saying there's also a statistic that says that 91% of the candidates who register a person to vote will receive that person's vote.
Right. And so you're right. It is going to be a huge thing. And with a community like El Dorado that is so split demographically, where it's pretty much half and half between white and black members of the community. It's important that we see that all members of our community are being equally and fairly represented.
Yeah. And Veronica did that great. And especially in her first race. I mean, let's just be honest. If you go back and look at the numbers from her first race where she defeated Bill Luther, it was not that there was an overwhelming African-American vote. It was a little better than usual, but way below when President Obama ran, for example.
Right.
But what she did have is she had a line of support, and especially from females who may or may not lean a little more liberally in those other wards, Ward 1, Ward 2, and Ward 4. There were females who voted for her that did not vote for her the second time. And I think therein is the difference. And I think if I'm Andre Rux or I'm running his campaign, I'm having to get him in front of people who are already going to vote, but haven't decided how they're going to vote yet. And I think therein is the mistake that probably was made in Rico's campaign, is that he spent a lot of time with people who were highly unlikely to vote anyway.
Yes. That from my understanding of the situation, that just has to be what happened, because as far as, again, what we heard from the community, the support was 50-50.
You and I are not alone in this. I mean, you walk around this square 3 days ago, and every place we walked in, every single store, every shop, every time my phone rang for anything, it was like, hey, by the way, before I let you go, what's your thought on this mayor's race? Is this a coin flip?
And I know that there's people sitting at home thinking, well, these guys are obviously idiots because it was 76-24.
Obviously we are.
But when you talk about people who are listening and trying to hear the community, I mean, it's us, because ultimately we want you guys to hear us.
We want to present to you what it is you want to hear.
Exactly. And even though we haven't been elected into our roles, I truthfully
we are every time they log on. Every time they click.
You're right.
We're elected into their lives.
And so the important part is just us, and you, me, Grant, and everybody else with South Arkansas Now is going to have to work double time just in making sure that we're being as transparent, accountable, and equitable with our community, and making sure that we're providing good, local, accurate, timely news, and
without an opinion.
And that's going to be the big part. And I've multiple times had somebody try to trap me into giving them my opinion. Whereas I'll tell you my opinion if you just really want to know. It's probably not going to be what you expect from me, or it's going to be everything you expect from me.
Well, and here's the other side of that. Yeah, I have opinions, but Boomer taught me this years ago.
Oh man,
there's a reason it's called a personal opinion, because you keep it personal.
That's right.
And I expected, for example, the half-cent sales tax, I expected it to pass, and I expected it to pass well. I did not expect it to pass with those kind of numbers.
No. I mean,
66%.
Especially the very first time I even heard the phrase uttered, half-cent sales tax for the hospital with no sunset clause, I immediately just threw my nose up at it, said, no way.
I mean, most people who are taxpayers are like, please don't put another tax on me. There was an issue on the ballot here locally for property taxes for the school. And I had to get in there and read it. And I am 100% for whatever we can do for El Dorado School District. but my damn property taxes are high.
Yeah, I remember I got to that issue on the ballot, and I said, "Hold on now,
I haven't even heard about this." But there was basically no change. It was we're rolling all these together as opposed to having this bond and this bond and this bond and this bond.
Yeah,
and so it was. They were very smart. The very last line of that ballot question was, "This represents zero change in your taxes," or something along those lines is what it said. And that was smart because there was a lot of people who would have voted against that otherwise. And so, obviously there are some races of national importance that'll happen this fall. We are going to have a race for the U.S. Senate. Tom Cotton obviously is going to win the nomination for the Republican Party. And as we much suspected, Hallie Schaffner is going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. I mean, she's come out guns blazing. She's come out swinging both fists. And, as we said about when we talked with Matthew earlier, if they're on the ballot, you take them seriously. Now, do I think that the Washington Post or the New York Times or Fox or CNN or MSNBC or any of those are going to look at this Arkansas race and say, boy, that one could be in play? No, I don't. But
can I say something about that race, Sandy?
You most certainly can.
I'm ready for Hallie Schaffner to have a platform other than I'm a 6th-generation farmer and Tom Cotton is evil, because I
that's so far all we've heard.
I still don't know what her platform is on anything. Is she wacko left liberal? Is she moderate? Is she what? All I know is that she's a farmer and she hates Tom Cotton. So I mean, that's
well, so far
where we are.
So far, Grant, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people who feel the same way. And I actually heard an old timer say this just a couple of days ago. He said, well, she don't know where she is because she hadn't been told yet. And that's a scary thing. When and this guy's an old timer. He's a lifelong Democrat. But when he says she doesn't know what she believes because she hasn't been told yet, that tells you campaign's got some trouble ahead.
I had a lot of respect for Ethan Dunbar when he showed up at our debate, and he really
wasn't he fabulous?
Yeah, I mean, he comes out and says, "Hey, I believe in the Second Amendment. We're keeping our guns. We're not." He came down on every single issue and at least told you where he stood. You might not agree with him, you might not be voting for a Democrat, but Lord, at least he had 1,000 times more substance than what I've seen out of Hallie Schaffner so far. So she's really going to have to come out and declare her positions before I think a lot of people are going to take her seriously in the Senate race, other than tried and true Democrats who would never vote for Cotton in the first place. Yeah,
they'd vote for Al Qaeda or Satan over Cotton, and there are people who are like that, and there are people who are like that on the Republican side. They would certainly. It's funny. This is slightly off subject. When Mike Huckabee was running for president in 2008. There was a watchdog group that wanted to sent donations in legitimate PACs. They filed all the paperwork to make these PACs legitimate, but they would send them in, these PACs would be named the most ironic names. So it would be, for example, it might be Satanists against abortion. Right. And they would send a donation of, say, $1,000 to a particular candidate. Every candidate they sent money to took the donation except Mike Huckabee. And again, his was something like Satanists for the Second Amendment. That was the PAC or something like that. Or pedophiles against abortion or something. Every candidate accepted the money except Mike Huckabee. Why is that? Because Mike Huckabee knew who he was, what he believed, and why he believed it.
And I think that's a big part that a lot of candidates miss going into politics is they think I can be a change, I can be a force for good, but they have no idea what that vision for being a force of good actually looks like. They just go in thinking, well, I can make a change, but they didn't make a plan.
That's it. You're exactly right. And so a lot of that happens. But locally, Jax, I'm going to go back over these real quick. Tanya Allen handily wins the office of circuit clerk. Again, there was no Democrat nominee, so she will presumably take office in January. 1964 to 805 in that. Miss Langley comfortably wins the assessor's office position, 1493 to 1214 over Miss Conley. Jill Wineski, no surprise, retains the nomination for her seat. She will have an opponent come this fall. 249 to Shane Calloway's 122. I have to say this, Shane performed well at the debate. He performed very well at the debate. Paul Schode, again, we mentioned earlier, handily winning the nomination for re-election, 875 to 307. Robert Rushing handily defeating Ryan Wolf, 679 to 475, which was a 58 to 42. And talking about the debate, Jax, I really think that debate hurt Ryan. And I'll tell you a couple of things. One, he bragged about having about 9 or 10 different jobs over about 12 years. I can just tell you as an employer, when I get your resume and you've been at 9 or 10 places over 12 years, rarely does that work out for me as an employer. When I look at a resume and someone can't stay somewhere more than about a year and a half, I really have a hard time. Secondly, he spent a lot of time bragging about some guy in Texas he worked for that evidently we were all supposed to know who that was. He dropped that guy's name 3 or 4 times in the debate.
I can't even remember the name.
No, I can't either. But it would be one thing if he said, he worked for Senator Ted Cruz, or he worked for Senator John Cornyn, or one of those. But that's not who he was talking about. I still don't know who the guy was he was talking about. And then thirdly, and I think this is most important, 6 times in that debate, he said, I will listen to the voice of the people as it is given to me by the city council and the mayor. And I remember that night, I received a number of text messages that said, did he just say, I'm going to be their bitch? Those are literally the words that were texted to me. I think those 3 things in that debate tremendously hurt his campaign.
Yeah, and that was the biggest point of contention that I had outreach on about too, is did he really say this? And, I've gotten to have several really good conversations with Ryan, and I think
he's a fabulous guy.
And I think he is smart and bright and has a very bright future ahead of him. I mean, he's a young lawyer. He has passion and has a direction for his life that he wants to go. And I truthfully and honestly, I hope that 10 years from now, I'm standing there ready to shake his hand or clapping in a
congratulate him on winning office
on winning an office. I mean, that would be great. I just don't think that right now is that time for him. And that's okay.
To put it in church terms, it's not his season.
That I was just about to say, to everything, there's a time, a reason, and a season.
That's right.
And so,
let me interject before I forget. I'm like Boomer. If I don't say it now, I'll forget. The other thing, the very first question in that debate to Mr. Wolf was, you've been quoted on several occasions as saying you were voluntold to run.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it that's pulling your strings? He didn't deny it. The very first opportunity he had to say, hey, yeah, that's a little tongue in cheek. I'm my own man. Don't worry about that. What he said was, well, these are good people.
Yeah.
That I can just tell you, and I haven't talked to another person about that, but I can just tell you from a voter standpoint, I don't like that. I don't want to know I'm voting for you so that someone else can tell you what to do.
And, more facts will be uncovered as time goes on. But whatever the facts are around the city and city council, there's a lot of people who are disgruntled, and people who feel like there has been a lack of accountability, and that there are things that are being done improperly, not only
I agree with
incorrectly,
that.
but improperly.
I 100% agree with that.
And so when they heard that, all they heard was my city's just going to get worse.
I agree. I do agree. I think between now and November, if I'm running for office, I have to make damn sure that we're not having finance committee meetings inside the police department.
Yeah.
To me, that was a big one that jumped out there in that race.
Yeah. And transparency, accountability. I mean, those are going to be huge for any of these candidates, because ultimately that's been the status quo for this election, that everybody's kind of focused around is the accountability, equitability, and transparency, because something's not right.
Grant, do we have just a couple minutes for me to get into something deeply philosophical? I promise to make it short.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to know why that is such a big buzzword? Because I had a political handler here in the state of Arkansas contact me earlier this week, or late last week. Why is transparency such a huge buzzword in this election? Here's why. Do you believe Hillary Clinton legitimately won the Democratic nomination for president in 2016?
No.
Do you believe Bernie Sanders did?
Yes.
Do you believe that Joe Biden legitimately won the Democratic nomination for president in 2020?
No.
Do you believe that Bernie Sanders did?
Yes.
Okay. There was no race in 2024 for the Democratic nomination, right?
Correct.
They were just handed a candidate and said, this is your candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Democrat or Republican, I can tell you, across this nation, there are people who don't like that.
No.
You and I have people in our family who were like, I don't know if I can vote for this guy because Bernie should have been the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
But the Democrats were never going to let that happen. They were never going to let crazy Bernie be the nominee because they didn't know what he would say. They couldn't control it.
They were perfectly fine with him being the mascot, but not being on the team.
That's exactly right. They wanted everyone to cheer Rudy, but they never wanted Rudy in the game.
Exactly.
So that's where this comes from. And let's go to the other side of the aisle real quick. Do we believe for a moment that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? It's hard to say there were. There is yet to be, 20-something years later, we've yet to find one, just one.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
That's right. Of course. There's the unknown unknown.
And then there are known unknown unknowns.
Yeah. And then let's move to a little sooner time. Do we believe that the government was fully transparent with us on the Wuhan virus, on novel COVID-19?
No.
I don't think there's anyone, whether you believe the vaccination was really a vaccination or not, there's no one who believes that the government was transparent with us. This is where we are as a country. Now, watch this, Jax. Anytime it starts on a local level, like in El Dorado, Arkansas, where the buzzword is transparency, get ready.
That's right.
Because by 2028, that is going to be the number one topic, barring any national catastrophes, barring another 9/11, God forbid, or anything like that, or, China rattling its saber or whatever. That will be the buzzword. It's going to be transparency and accountability.
Well, and also just take into account whatever your feelings were on Elon Musk being part of the United States government there for a little while and going through and cutting out fraud. It opened the eyes to a lot of Americans like, hey, hold on now. Our tax dollars are being used for corruption and for things that we don't want our tax dollars to be used for.
The bad part was the people who didn't like Elon being part of it, here was their response to that. That's such a small part. Well, maybe that one is, but when you add that one to that one to that one to that one, and then you throw the Somalians in Minnesota, and you add this one and this one and this one and this one, all of a sudden, guess what? You've got to stack this tall. And Jax knows this. One of my favorite sayings is if you stack enough nickels, it'll make a dollar. And that is never let something because it seems minuscule be in the way. And that's what was happening here. Well, that's only $6 billion. Do you for a moment understand how much $6 billion is?
You know what? I'm going to start walking. I'll stop as soon as you reach 6 billion, counting by ones.
We'll see you when Jesus comes.
That's right. Because we ain't getting there.
No, we're not going to get there. So that's where, here locally in this election, when you kept hearing the words transparency and accountability, I don't know so much about equality, but transparency and accountability especially, that's where that comes from. Because as a populace, we've been blindfolded and told, no, you haven't been blindfolded, you're just blind.
Yeah, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah. If you just look around.
And, and that, I feel like we've gotten to a point where we're almost rambling now, but to the people who are still watching at home, just know South Arkansas, both of you. Yeah. South Arkansas now is bound and determined to bring local, accurate, transparent news, regardless of opinion, regardless of what
Party affiliation.
I mean, we just want to bring facts to our community and help them be in the know. And so everything that we can do to do that, we are going to do to the best of our ability.
I have said it before and I'll say it again. I know it sounds cliche because Fox News uses it, but we truly do have a mantra at our office, and that is, we report, you decide. We are not there to play gotcha games with candidates, our politicians, our people in office. That's not who we are. What we're going to do is we're going to report what happened at an event, because I caught a whole lot of hell over the summer from people who were like, well, you were at a city council meeting, you didn't ask this question. That's not my job.
We're not even allowed to ask questions.
That's right. So that's not my job. My job and our job at South Arkansas Now is to give you the information that transpired.
That's right.
If you want those questions asked, bring your lazy butt down there and ask them.
Yeah, and I'll be glad to report on it.
Bingo.
So, all right. Anything else that you want to say about this election tonight?
For as far as local races go, no. I mean, Grant, I think we can throw it back to you. I don't know if you need us again tonight or not. If you do, I'm happy to stick around. But our races are called, and I think we're good to go.
I think we'll go through statewide races one more time and do a big wrap up, and then we'll head to the House. So.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, hey, Grant, on behalf of me and my dad, thank you for help, for being a part of this tonight. And, we wouldn't have been able to do it without you.
Well,
yeah, we would. It just wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, it just wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, you're still on my list for eating those Fay Ray's appetizers while I had to watch through a screen from a few miles away. But
dude, you could have always closed your eyes. I
eyes.
forgot about that. Ooh,
You could have closed your eyes.
yeah, that's on you. Close your eyes next time. Wear a blindfold.
outside of that, I'll forgive you boys one of these days. But we'll take a quick break. Thank you guys both for your excellent commentary tonight. We'll take a break and we'll go over everything one more time, and then we'll get out of here for tonight on Election Watch 2026. Sandy, real quickly, thank you to all of our sponsors. I know you want to make sure they get recognized.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just say this. It's a lot easier to give compliments than it is to take them. But this guy right here, a little over a year and a half ago, he said, Dad, I want to be involved in the sales side of what we're going to do with South Arkansas Now. And he said, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how to sell media. You spent your entire life doing it, but I don't know how. I told him, I said, Jax, it's like anything else, son. If you will go out there and identify the problem for a customer and help them come up with a solution. Maybe we're not part of that solution. We've had those. We've had those conversations with people where we were not part of the solution for them, and that's okay. But if you'll do that, when they do have a problem you can help them solve, you'll be the first person they call. And Grant, let me tell you, I haven't even had the chance to tell you today about the new sponsors he signed up in the last couple of days. Just the sheer number of people that he's seen and talking to and signing up. I'm gonna try not to cry. I am as humbled as I know how to be by the response from you, our community, for South Arkansas Now. And we take very seriously the responsibility you place on us to report, to bring you live events, to make things that are fun, to make things that are informative. That debate, Jax,
as much as we wanted it to be open to the public,
we did. I caught so much hell for that week leading up to it about, it's more the good old boy system. It's only for a select few. That wasn't it. That was not it at all.
Just limitations to a venue.
And somebody said, well, why didn't you put it somewhere bigger? We had to choose the venue before we even knew who the candidates were going to be.
And we had to pay for that venue before we ever even had
August
a
of last year
sold for that debate. And so, luckily we've got some way bigger, better things planned for later this year.
We really do.
And we can't wait to share some of that news with you guys. But it's just going to have to come in time.
Yeah.
But back at what he said, humbled and
very much so.
Honored, and almost tear-inducing how much the community has entrusted to us, and we're going to do everything we can
to make you proud to be a sponsor here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate all of your hard work tonight, and thank you to Fay Rays on the Square for hosting us. And
Yes.
we'll
Yes.
definitely be there again soon. So Sandy Sanford
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jack Sanford joining us this evening from Fay Rays on the Square. Thank you to J.W. Meisenheimer and Elizabeth Haynes for their work over at the Union County Courthouse. We'll wrap it up and we'll go over all of the totals from across the state of Arkansas that are of interest to you coming up next on Election Watch 2026 from South Arkansas Now.
We will be back with more of Election Night 2026 after this word from our sponsors.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim, and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
Welcome back. This is Election Night 2026. Let's go back to Election Central with Grant Merrill.
We're looking at the Union County Courthouse, a beautiful sight from there at Fay Rays on the Square in downtown El Dorado. Good evening, everybody. I'm Grant Merrill. Thank you so much for making us a part of your evening here on SouthArkansasNow.com. Let's go over the final results here in Union County, as all of those have been reported. And of course, we'll start with the El Dorado Alderman's race in Ward 1, Position 2. Jill Nowinski with 249 votes to Shane Calloway's 122. In the El Dorado City Attorney's race, Robert Rushing wins the Republican nomination over challenger Ryan Wolf, 679 to 475. A lopsided race in the El Dorado Mayor's Republican primary, Paul Schote, the incumbent, winning over Rico Robertson, 875 to 307. Derek Goodwin beats Cliff Preston tonight in the Smackover Norphlet School Board Zone 4 race, 55 to 40. In the Union County Justice of the Peace race in District 8, Adam Robertson, 171 votes, and Randy Hendricks with 99. Union County Circuit Clerk's Republican nomination, Tanya Allen beats Kelly Ward tonight, 1,964 to 805. Carrie Langley is the winner of the Union County Tax Assessor's race for the Republican nomination. She beats Misty Rawls Conley, 1,493 to 1,214. And the sales and use tax to fund the South Arkansas Regional Medical Center, passing 1,371 to 683. Let's pull up on the screen here our statewide races and statewide results. We'll go over those real quick before we get out of here. Fred Love will sail to the Democratic nomination for governor of Arkansas as he beats Sufa Mays tonight. 81% of the vote for him, 18% for Sufa Mays. For the Republican Commissioner of State Lands Republican nomination, Cole Jester wins 72% of that vote tonight to Christian Olson's 27%. Kim Hammer is up again. It looks like he'll be going to a runoff. If it stays like it is now with Brian Norris, that is a three-way race that is very close tonight. Kim Hammer is on top. Brian Norris coming in behind him, and Kathy Harden Harrison in third place right now. And Kim Hammer only leading with 34% of the vote. You need to get to 50 to be declared an outright winner. So we will have a runoff likely in the Secretary of State's race. Nick Bronny is winning the Supreme Court race in Justice Position 3. 55% for Bronny. John Adams with 44% tonight. Let's pull up some of the legislative races that we have been watching from a statewide perspective. Ronald Caldwell will win re-election. The Forest City native wins over Trey Bodert Bohannon, who was the endorsed candidate for Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. 71% of the vote for Ronald Caldwell. Trey Bodert Bohannon with 28% tonight. For State Senate District 13, Brandon Acor beats Misha Martin. 56% of the vote for him, 43% for Martin. In the Democratic nomination for District 13, Allison Grigsby Sweatman will win that race tonight over Jason Williams. Charity Smith Allen, the winner in District 15 in the Democratic side. Sheriff Rodney Wright in Saline County will be the Republican nominee over Randy Sams for District 16 in the state Senate. That is the one currently occupied by Senator Kim Hammer, who is running for Secretary of State. Jeremy Wooldridge will unseat State Representative Blake Johnson. Wooldridge, of course, is the son of former State Senator Tim Wooldridge, who is a Democrat, but as a Republican, Jeremy Wooldridge wins that race with 62% of the vote. Brad Simon will win State Senate District 26. Handily, Brian King is the winner over Bobby Ballinger in the State Senate District 28 race at this point, as it doesn't look like that Bobby will be able to come back in that one this evening with 51 of 61% or precincts reporting. So that is the State Senate. A couple of races in the House that we'll go over. Charlene Fight will come back to the House in Van Buren. She wins with 70% of the vote tonight, or at least she'll get the Republican nomination. I say that like it's final, but it's not. Josh Longmire winning in District 30. Let's roll down here to some races. In Yale County, Brent Montgomery leading a four-way race. There will be a primary runoff between him and Christian Thompson. Matt Duffield reelected to the House in District 53. Cameron Cooper leading the way in District 57. And here in South Arkansas, well, in Central Arkansas, Dawn Creekmore trying to get back to the House, and she is leading with 47% of the vote. It looks like there will be a runoff between her and Eric Shepard. And in South Arkansas here, Missy Wardlaw trailing John Kyle Day with about half of the, well, about a third of the, maybe a little less than a third of the, maybe a fourth of the votes, precincts fully in District 94. So John Kyle Day leading Missy Wardlaw in that race that includes Bradley, Drew, and Deshay counties. So we'll keep an eye on that throughout the night. We will have, of course, our complete results and coverage in the morning here on SouthArkansasNow.com, and we would definitely will keep you abreast of any changes in any races of interest across the state. Again, thank you so much for making us a part of your evening and making us your number one choice for election results. And we appreciate all of our sponsors who have made this possible. Let's go on ahead and talk about them for a moment. We appreciate Christ Church, one of our newest advertisers. Jody Cook over at Cook's Body Shop. We appreciate him for being a great sponsor. And of course, he and his wife have supported South Arkansas Now from day one, and we just really, really appreciate them. Country Village, of course, a major sponsor of South Arkansas Now. Cross Roofing, also Davis Farms Country Market. Appreciate Brent McDermott over at Glenn Mechanical. Over 6 decades of service to South Arkansas and beyond, and they are a sponsor of our election coverage tonight. Harrison Financial Management. Thank you to Greg and the folks over there for their sponsorship. Jason Hardy and State Farm Insurance. Appreciate you for your sponsorship tonight. Also, the Murphy Arts District with the Be Like Blippi tour coming into town. Get the kids ready for that. And Michael Fife, of course, candidate for Union County Sheriff. Mystic Creek Golf Club, ProMed Ambulance. Thank you, Ken Kelly, and all the folks over at ProMed for your sponsorship. And also Robert Rushing and the Rushing Law Firm. Congratulations, Robert, on your win in the primary tonight. And we appreciate your sponsorship from the Rushing Law Firm of all things South Arkansas Now. So with that said, thank you for being with us tonight. For Sandy Sanford and Jack Sanford, who were live from Fay Rays on the Square, they did a great job tonight with all of our guests. Thank you to former Senator Jeremy Hutchinson for his help tonight, for all of our guests who dropped by. I'm Grant Merrill saying good night. God bless you. Thanks for watching Election Watch 2026 on SouthArkansasNow.com.